sewer services to terminate 2 of their 11 contracts with the city. Currently 12 degrees in Milwaukee, 7 in Waukesha for 15:10 a.m. My name is Brian Kelly. The Devil's Advocates starts right now.
The following program is a presentation of DC Communications, LLC. Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening.
3, 2, 1.
Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Never more prepared for action.
Always prepared, just not clear on direction.
Dominic, thank God it's Friday, man.
My God, can you believe it? Brian mentioned it right before we came back. Like, New Year's Day was this week. It seems like a month ago.
I am already like 50 years old now. I'm turning 40 this year, but I'm going to be 50 next week.
And I'm ready for summer. So, happy Friday, everybody.
Perhaps it's Donald Trump. Maybe he makes time. He contracts time. He rips the space-time continuum. Time is nonlinear during Trump's presidency. That's my perception.
So, what is it? The faster you go, the slower time passes? So, we must be cruising.
Man, he's just packing it in.
Oh, wait, it'd be the other way around then if it's passing by really fast. I'm just unclear. It seems like it's been a long time since Monday. It seems like it's been a long time that this man has been our president.
I'm not so much philosophizing as, just thinking this week has seemed like 3 weeks, right? I mean, maybe it's just that we jam every show full of goodness. It's like the nougat in the middle.
Is that what it is?
Something like that. We got another big show. Contrary to popular belief amongst the panelists, we've got a really big show, even for a Friday. We've got our friend, Democratic Party of Wisconsin chairwoman, Martha Lanning. Maybe just chair. Maybe she doesn't like chairwoman.
I just call her chair.
We got to be politically correct. If not us, who's going to be, right?
Well, certainly not Donald Trump.
So chair of the Democratic Party of Wisconsin, Martha Lanning, joins us at 2:30 today.
Nice.
Dom, also earlier, just moments earlier, I put out the bat signal, and he's going to respond. It's Matt Rothschild of the Wisconsin Democracy Campaign. Batman will join us in the happy hour today. He will talk about our governor, and in the terms he uses today, hypocrite extraordinaire.
Oh, fantastic.
Well, I would say there's got to be accuracy there. I don't even know what the topic is. I think it's campaign finance.
It may as well just be hashtag Walker bashing.
You know what the actual statement was?
From Walker, or from Walker?
Walker tweeted out that he might get outspent this cycle.
Really?
That is the bold claim he made on the last day of the fundraising deadline.
Oh, so the Koch brothers, American for Prosperity, they're going to start running ads for all one of the Dems, or they're switching sides, maybe perhaps picking a more libertarian independent candidate.
Dom, I note this article you've got on top over here. Tammy Baldwin, if there's any race where the outside money's already flowing, Tammy Baldwin's race. Why don't we start there, Dom, since we didn't have a clear sense of where to start? Got to get to a lot. Let's start there.
This is from our friend Karen, brought this one to our attention. We certainly appreciate all the interaction we get from the listeners. Love it when you send us articles, do our homework for us, give us something to go to. And I thought this one was important. Curdy posted it up on the Facebook page, so check it out. But we'll start here. Ask a Democrat what Senate races worries them this year in Missouri, Indiana, West Virginia, and North Carolina.
North
Dakota, thank you, will likely be near the top. All the states that Donald Trump won in 2016 and the Democratic senators seeking re-election in them have staked out moderate paths to appeal to some of their less liberal constituents. But increasingly, Democrats point to another race as one they're worried about, Wisconsin. That's where Democratic Senator Tammy Baldwin already has been targeted by an onslaught of outside spending from conservatives groups. Party leaders say the odds remain in her favor, but they're sure not going to take the race for granted. Conservative groups have so far spent at least $3.1 million against Baldwin, which is more than what all the other Democratic state incumbents on the ballot this year have faced combined, under $550,000, according to the Center for Responsive Politics.
I was going to say, and that nearly exceeds our lifetime bar tab.
Nearly. Those figures reflect what these groups have publicly reported to the FEC, but the Baldwin campaign has tracked the spending on ads and found there's even more money flowing into the state that aims to undercut her political fortunes. So-called dark money groups don't have to necessarily report this spending to the FCC because their efforts don't specifically call for Baldwin's defeat. We know all about those kind of organizations, don't we, Mike?
We do.
9 groups have spent more than $4.7 million on ads that attack Baldwin and or boost one of the Republicans vying to oppose her, according to her campaign's tracking. One of the groups, Freedom Partners, said
Freedom Partners.
it intends to spend $1.6 million on its TV and digital campaign in Wisconsin. So far, it's spent more than $600,000, according to Baldwin's campaign.
I would recommend radio. Good value.
Great value. Solutions for Wisconsin confirmed that it spent about $100,000. The other groups either didn't return a request for comment or declined to confirm how much they spent. Aside from the outside spending, Democrats have other reasons to closely watch Wisconsin. First, Governor Walker and the Republican machine he's built in the state are formidable, as Democrats have seen from past elections and legislative fights. Baldwin is the last standing Democrat serving statewide in Wisconsin, and the GOP desperately wants to topple her. Walker is up for re-election in 2018, meaning he'll help bring out Republican voters to the polls. A slew of Democrats seek their party's nomination to defeat him, but there's still no clear frontrunner, and no one doubts that Walker is formidable. Scott Walker's got a great operation, a GOP campaign aide said, predicting that the Senate race will be tight. The governor has a fully formed, aggressive, well-funded, I'd say, effort already underway in every major voting population center in the state, and the nominee to oppose Baldwin will benefit from it.
Now, the nominee, who might that be? A couple of Republicans have thrown their hats in. There might be more, but I'm going to continue this article, Dom. HuffPost, Amanda Turkle. GOP billionaire backers jump in early. Democrats are still stinging from what happened in Wisconsin's 2016 Senate race. Nearly everyone, including most Republicans, expected Democrat Russ Feingold to retake his old seat from incumbent Republican Ron Johnson. Republicans were so convinced that Johnson would be gone that the National Republican Senate Committee canceled its plans to spend $800,000 on TV ads in the final weeks before the election day. But Johnson beat Feingold by nearly 4 percentage points, surpassing Trump's victory margin in the state, which was less than 1%. And the big reason for Johnson's win, according to Patrick Gursisi, something of that sort, a Democratic political consultant based in Wisconsin, was the I was going to say, who cares? I'll never speak to that guy again. Sorry, Patrick. I'll work on your pronunciation. A Democratic political consultant based in Wisconsin was the outside money that poured in on his behalf. Again, talking about Ron Johnson's behalf. Super PACs dumped millions of dollars into the race to defeat Feingold, known for his signature 2002 law restricting campaign spending that he co-sponsored with Senator John McCain. The Wisconsin State Journal called these contributions Johnson's secret weapon. Here's a quote. The Republican National Committee, the Republican Senate campaign, a lot of folks started to decrease their support for Johnson, Gursisi said. But these billionaires got together over the summer in 2016 and dumped millions of dollars into the election. No matter what, they're not going to leave Ron Johnson. Why would you? He's one of theirs. A big source of the money this year is coming from Dick Uihlein, a billionaire businessman who lives in the Flatland, that's Illinois, but often invest heavily in Wisconsin politics. With his wife, he donated $23 million to Republicans in the 2016 cycle. This cycle, Uline has given at least $3.5 million to Solutions for Wisconsin, a super PAC backing Kevin Nicholson, the former. Is he even a real Republican? Or is he a Democrat?
I thought we had some sound of him being a Democrat at one point, maybe the other day. If we had
yesterday. Maybe
Yesterday?
we'll get to that sound.
All right.
Hold that sound.
Okay.
Hold that thought.
But Nicholson, a Republican now.
Well, he's one of the two major Republican Senate candidates. Uline also has donated to several other groups helping out Nicholson. Here are a couple of the pro-Nicholson ads. Well, we don't have time for those. Here's a quote, though. Again, this fine Wisconsin Dem strategist with the difficult pronouncing last name.
Guarashi?
I'm not clear.
Jurashi?
Here's what he says. It's so bizarre. It's shocking to me that in 2017, more than a year before the election, they were already on television going after Tammy Hare. So that cannot be discounted. The amount of early money that is being spent to trying to find Tammy in these contentious times, that is something that is almost unprecedented in my view and potentially could be the new normal in some of these hot states like Wisconsin. Well, it's going to heat up in here, Dom. The new normal. Well, we've talked about this in some small part. I mean, we didn't even look up how much the anti-Tammy Baldwin people were spending. I mean, I looked up how much Tammy Baldwin's super PAC was spending.
Right.
One of our competitors got $26,000 in 1 month. Another one got $8,000. I don't know what they're spending in Madison, but I hear the Kevin Nicholson ads when I leave listening to Righty Talk Radio, and I hear them here when I come into town, and I'm comparing the inferior products on the radio to our own.
Bless you for doing so, Crudy. I don't know how you do it, because after being a part of making this great radio show and station, to have to go down and listen to those other... thank you for doing that, man.
You're
a great man.
I like to troll them sometimes. I like to upset the apple carts. I have been banned from one of the heartless rivals, at least in Madison.
But would you ever? I would never ban anybody from calling in. I mean, have we ever banned anybody?
I am a great caller, too.
We put a few
Mike in a car phone.
Super double secret probation for perhaps dropping a few F-bombs on the air. You can't do that. We'll drop you if you do. But we've never, banned anybody. And you've been banned.
I have been blocked from the free, quote-unquote, airwaves. They're not free.
No, they're not.
They cost money. We got to go to commercial. Come back with us. Devil's Advocates Radio, WRRT, 1510 AM, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. And we got a great piece. Our good friend Will Durst, the comedian Milwaukee's own. He's got some predictions for 2018. Martha Lanning along at the bottom of the hour. Going to be a big show. Happy Friday. Stick around.
The biggest fear that I and I think a lot of our supporters have is the outside money.
How does this relate to our discussion of the uses of irony?
Hi, I'm Crudy. I'm here with Bill Carroll, president of Teamsters Local 344. Bill, why are you union? Teamster strong.
Well, Crudy, our strength comes from our membership. The Teamsters are North America's strongest labor union with 1.4 million members.
Bill, what does the Teamsters do for the next generation?
The same thing that the Teamsters have done for the last 100 years, assisting groups of workers in negotiating improvements in their wages, hours, and working conditions.
Where do people go if they want to know more about the Teamsters, more about joining the union?
There's 3 easy options. They can call Local 344 at 414-258-4545. They can contact us through our website. That's local344.org. Local, the number is 344.org, or they can contact us through the Local 344 Facebook page.
Be union strong. Join Teamsters 344. Be like Crudy. Be like News Talk 1510 AM. Stand with the unions. Join the Teamsters. Local344.org.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes?
How could he do this to you? And for Sheila, she has split ends.
B, console her.
Oh, sweetie, this is going to happen a lot. 4, maybe 5 more times before you get married.
C. Take charge.
Got to get this all straightened out. Give a little talking to, man to man, mano a mano. Hey, Steve! Is now a good time? No? Okay, no problem. Bye.
Or D. Help her find a new boyfriend.
I know a great place to meet boys. The internet. Nice, single boys. Never mind. How about some ice cream?
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
When Wisconsin Republican Brad Schimmel
I don't have a lot of expertise.
decided to run for Wisconsin Attorney General,
I don't even know my own website address.
even some conservatives questioned his ability.
You can always say no to a request for an interview, and I kind of wish Mr. Schimmel had said no. I don't think he was ready for that.
Schimmel claims to be all about law and order.
You start with the default position that yes, you will enforce the laws.
Apparently, even if that means enforcing a 1960s-style ban on interracial marriage.
It might be distasteful to me, but I've got to stay consistent with that as the state's lawyer. It's not my job to pick and choose.
Wisconsin deserves a competent attorney general.
We got to go.
Yes, Brad Schimmel, you do gotta go. This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org.
When you need an attorney, trust the voice of experience. The only choice, Lawton and Cates.
I needed an attorney because I was injured at work. I wanted to find a reputable attorney. The results that I got with Lawton and Cates were very good. I'm very happy with the way I was treated and the end result that I got.
Trust the voice of experience. Call the attorneys at Lawton and Cates. 282-6200. 282-6200.
It's a lot easier to measure how many times students use a semicolon correctly in an essay.
Educated educators talking education.
Than it is to measure how many wonderful ideas are in that essay.
Busted Pencils.
There is no teacher shortage.
With Dr. Tim Slecker.
There is a teacher exit.
Featuring Matt Damon's mom.
You want to know what my mom would say?
We've had an intrusion into education.
Busted Pencils Radio. Saturdays at 11 on Resistance Radio.
Grass-fed, locally raised, 100% organic. Dom and Crooks are the Devil's Advocates.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show live on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, 1510 AM WRRD. Streaming live on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter at Devil Radio. And you can always join us on the phones. Air your grievances on Fridays at 844-967-2789.
Dominic, the only quandary over where to start the show is, of course, I want to talk about the Trump book.
I know.
You know, they were lining up last night in D.C. They sold out in like 20 minutes of the Trump book.
Wow.
I think everyone stayed up a little too late last night, at least many of the journalists, in the swamp, reading the tell-all. We are certainly going to talk about that in the 3 o'clock hour. We're going to have Martha Lanning, the Democratic Party of Wisconsin chair, joining us in 5 minutes, Tom? Not long.
Coming quick.
And, of course, Batman Matt Rothschild in the happy hour. He will talk about the hypocrite extraordinaire. Of course, we reference our governor. But before the breakdown, we were talking about the fact we got a friend who does these predictions and little commentaries, and he's comedian Will Durst. Good friend to have. Keeps it lively.
He's a funny cat, and he's a Milwaukee guy.
And he's got something to say. He's got some predictions for 2018. We'd like to share them with you, our friends, all across Milwaukee, all across Wisconsin, all across this great nation. Our buddy Will Durst played for the people. Brian.
Hey, guys. Will Durst here with a few choice words about the dearly departed year of 2017. And those words are, holy moly, catfish, you sucked. Go away. Stay there. Keep it moving. No lingering, no dawdling, no sticking around to watch us shudder after getting kicked in the belly again. Forget it, Jake. It's Chinatown. Now it's time to look ahead to the next 12 months, the year 2018, and the wondrous possibilities destined to greet us in the future pages of this new calendar. Well, hey, a guy can dream, can't he? And these are just a few of the fabulous things in store for 2018. You can call them predictions, but we here at Dursco think of them more as sure things. In the year 2018, Kellyanne Conway will top the bestseller lists with a book entitled How to Lie Out of Both Sides of Your Two Faces Even When People Are Watching Constantly. In response to another school shooting, the NRA calls for the closing of all schools. Robert Mueller announces that he has discovered a secret panel in Vice President Mike Pence's head that is directly controlled by the Kremlin. Hillary Clinton, after 18 months of twice-a-day therapy sessions, finally allows herself to let it go. Donald Trump cuts more programs to the poor so that rich people can have more money. Then, through a series of tragic financial reversals, the 45th president dies destitute. Mitch McConnell's face actually does freeze like that. The internet becomes so user-friendly, trend-setting techies go back to being annoying nerds. The airline industry witnesses a disturbing trend in which discount fares require passengers to pedal. Disney purchases Fox News, and children in Fantasyland are treated to character breakfasts with their favorite right-wing talk show hosts. Sean Hannity is especially popular as Goofy. For WRRD 1510 AM, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, I'm Will Durst.
That was Will Durst.
I love Will Durst.
Have you ever felt like you had to pedal on one of those cheap flights? You know, you got to pay not only for your suitcase, but your wallet to carry on.
And they have to, like, readjust you, while you're in flight. So, it doesn't get too lopsided weight-wise on one side or the other.
I've never had that.
Oh, smaller planes, yeah, man.
Really?
Well, puddle jumpers, yeah. You can't have big fellas like you all on one side and me on the other. Hell no, that doesn't work.
Yeah, they've had me on one end and everybody else on the other before. I honestly, yes.
Like you got the whole row to yourself?
The whole back area.
Everybody else up front.
Well, I hear if there is a plane crash, the back's the safest place to be. But since Donald Trump's been president, safest airwaves for commercial air flight ever.
Thank you, Donald.
Except it's been like that for years, successively.
So what? Fake news.
It's Friday. We air grievances. We're going to have the Democratic Party chair of the state of Wisconsin. That's not a grievance. She's a friend. Come back with us in Martha Lanning.
With you people. Now, you're going to hear about it.
Hey, America, we need to have a little talk. We've got more food than we know what to do with in this country, yet 17 million kids in America are struggling with hunger. Makes no sense. Luckily, the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks has volunteers gathering excess food and getting it to hungry kids. They're kind of like food angels. Hey, become a food angel yourself by supporting Feeding America in your local food bank at feedingamerica.org. We can't do it without your help. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
I'm more resourceful than I thought.
My suit can still make an impression.
My video games are still game changers.
And my lamp can bring others a bright future.
Because when I donate my stuff to Goodwill,
it helps fund job placement and training for people right in my community.
Now my stuff gets a second chance.
And will give someone in my community
a second chance too.
Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. That's goodwill.org. This message brought to you by Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Well, you are listening to Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, WRRD, 1510 AM, Milwaukee, Waukesha. Ooh, I just felt a trickle down.
Have you outgrown your house? Are you sick of apartment living? Not ready to buy but know you need to move? Hi folks, this is Tom Hartman for CCL Management in Middleton. You should consider moving up to one of the finer rental homes CCL Management represents. Unique houses and condos, always clean, most are pet friendly. Visit cclmanagement.com today to find your new home. CCL Management, Dane County's premier leasing and property management company.
Call CCL Management at 833-0009. That's 833-0009 or visit cclmanagement.com today.
Hi, this is Brad Saug, owner of Zero Res Madison Carpet Cleaning. Zero Res is the best new technology in carpet cleaning. We have a patented process using empowered water, a high-tech process in which we force the water to act like soap. It doesn't want to stay in that state. It's jacked up and it's angry and it wants to hit the dirt and then it neutralizes. When we're done, all that's left in your carpet is just light moisture. In the end, you get the cleanest, greenest, healthiest carpet cleaning available. Call us at 848-9000. Zero Res. Spell it backward or forward. It's the right way to clean.
On the line, Miss Patty Flowers. She is Red Cross.
I'm the CEO for the state of Wisconsin.
Wow. Well, we couldn't have had a better person to represent the Red Cross.
Well, I think the number one thing that we've got to remember is that people are suffering, and this is the time of year when it's even worse during the holidays.
You are going to continue the same policy that you've had for decades when it comes to the east side. But these other zip codes, it's where you're changing the policy. Can you see where people may have a question about that?
We are going into the zip codes. We're just simply asking that people come to us and meet us.
Is this because Milwaukee is perceived to be unsafe? Milwaukee Central City.
We have long-standing agreements with taxi companies in the state.
The Earl Ingram Show, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m., Saturdays, noon to 3 on WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
Come on, man.
Good afternoon. It is 2:32 for 1510 a.m. WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. My name is Brian Kelly. The city of Milwaukee has reportedly reached an agreement with American Sewer Services to terminate 2 of their 11 contracts with the city. This agreement stems from 2 separate incidents where one of their employees was seen brandishing a gun on the job and another had a KKK and Confederate flag sticker on his cooler. The 2 employees have been fired and the contracts total nearly $800,000. In debate over the contracts, Alderman Nick Kovatz was quoted in Urban Milwaukee as saying, "Given the amount of facts we have now, it appears that racism was tolerated at the company." This prompted a debate over racism, during which Alderman Bob Donovan left saying, quote, "I'm now in the position of having to defend myself that I'm not a racist because of the action sent my way." It's currently 12 degrees in Milwaukee and 7 in Waukesha. For 1510 a.m. WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, my name is Brian Kelly.
The Devil's Advocates, the fix for political junkies everywhere.
Welcome back to Devil's Advocates Radio Show. First Friday of the new year, Dominic, and we've got a fine guest who joins us right now. She's our friend, Martha Lanning. She is the chair of the Democratic Party of Wisconsin. Martha, welcome back. Happy New Year.
Oh, Happy New Year to you, too. Thanks for inviting me.
Thank you, Martha. Always a pleasure.
Okay, you ready to jump in and talk politics?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, Martha, I don't know. Are you looking for suggestions on the messaging, or do you have a few to tell us? What is the message? What are the electoral issues as the Democratic Party sees it? Don't let me fill this void for you, Martha.
So, right now we are hearing from people that they want to know what their political leaders are going to do for them. And, the Democratic Party, we're really about ensuring that people have an opportunity to succeed, that we have a government that is fair and transparent, and that we want to build thriving communities all over Wisconsin again. And so there's key issues that fall under those values, those things that we believe in. I mean, we've seen a lot of discussion about healthcare and being sure that everyone has an opportunity to get quality healthcare. We know that for us to have a thriving communities all across our state, we have to be offering educational opportunities to everyone so that we can fill these important jobs that are out there that are paying living wages. But we also need to hold people accountable for giving living wages, for having a government that is out there ensuring that if somebody works hard and plays by the rules, they should be able to get ahead. So there's so many things that Democrats care about. I really like to talk about it as, it's about an opportunity to succeed. It's about having a government that is fair and transparent. And we want to create those thriving communities where we have an economy that works for everyone, not just those at the top.
Well, Martha, I didn't hear you once say Foxconn sucks, and let's talk about that. Foxconn, is this...
let's talk about that, because you're right.
Is this a driving issue? You talk about, communities being served. Well, perhaps southeastern Wisconsin will see benefit, but I cannot believe, Martha Lanning, that the rest of the state will think that Foxconn is a good idea and somehow is going to help them. Martha, do you do some polling? How do you determine what are... the candidates or, what are people saying about Foxconn as an issue of the electoral year?
Well, Foxconn is a huge problem from Scott Walker, and you notice he's not talking about it. And the reason he's not is because it's just an example of how bad the Republican agenda is. They're going to pour over $4 billion now into helping one company who happens to not even be a Wisconsin company, but isn't even an American company. It's from Taiwan. We're going to pour $4 billion into it to create 13,000 jobs. And when I'm traveling around the state of Wisconsin, that opportunity that I was talking about, we're dead last in entrepreneurism. We have entrepreneurs all over this state that would like to create jobs here in the state that they grew up in and believe in. And our Republican government has done such a poor job of helping those entrepreneurs get started. We're dead last in the nation, which is sad. So there are so many great ideas that we've heard from Democrats. One Democrat businessman was saying that literally we could create 10,000 entrepreneurial organizations, like get them started around the state of Wisconsin for the same initial investment that Governor Walker approved, this $3 billion. And just imagine that could be in all the counties across the state of Wisconsin. So this is an example where Scott Walker is trying to support his personal agenda and furthering his career at the expense of Wisconsinites, and we as Democrats aren't tolerating it.
Folks, you're listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, 1510 AM WRRD. Go ahead, Michael.
I was going to lean in and say, that's more like it, Martha.
Martha, it seems like, I'm a big fan of the rallying cry. What's the messaging? What's the point? Why do people want to get motivated? And there's a lot of things we can point to and look at this current administration. You talked about fair and transparent. Well, I don't think the Republicans here in the state of Wisconsin have been very fair, and certainly they have not been transparent. But for the rallying cry, what about the legal weed conversation? Now, certainly I understand Attorney General Jeff Sessions came out and said, he's rescinding the Obama administration's mandates on these things. But from a perspective to get people to the polls, I think may have been gubernatorial candidate Matt Flynn who suggested this as well, doing some sort of referendum. But what about getting in front of and rallying and actually making the call for the legalization of medicinal and recreational marijuana in Wisconsin?
Well, I think the issue here, you guys, is that everybody has issues that are important to them, and that's clearly one that's really important to you, Dom, and many, many Wisconsinites across our state. And there are a lot of people that just think, medicinal marijuana is just common sense legislation. Why are we allowing pharmacists to dispense drugs that are highly, highly addictive, like OxyContin, but a doctor can't give someone marijuana when they know that it will make their cancer treatments more bearable? It's ludicrous, and it's something that there is a lot of discussion about putting referendums out there and trying to get legislators to move forward with those kinds of things. So I 100% agree with you. I think the issue here is that when we talk about an opportunity that would be a business opportunity for many people. It would also be an opportunity for people to have quality of life. People are suffering from cancer and from seizures, etc. It's just that there are so many important issues that when we talk about, we want these values, opportunity and fairness and building that thriving economy. And when I talk about Foxconn, it's to the business community. If I talk about water quality, because up in Kewaunee County, they can't even drink many of the water coming out of the spigot, so that's their issue. And for your issue, it's marijuana. And I think, as you saw today when the news came out about Sessions' comments, which are sad, that this is an issue that's up and coming, and I've heard many Democrats talking about creating a referendum and talking about it.
Well, Martha, I don't think we're just a couple of entitled radio hosts. I think it's an issue of race. We see disparate outcomes for African Americans, certainly in a city like Milwaukee. And of course, we know that young people believe in freedoms apparently a lot more than the Attorney General of both the state of Wisconsin and the United States do. So, Martha, consider that not just the issue of Dom and Crute, it's a people's issue.
No.
And I think he brings it up.
It isn't. It is an issue, and it's an important issue to many, many people. And, I get emails on it regularly. So it's an example, though, of us being able to talk about an issue because of that, because of fairness. And when you talk about, unfairness, it is ludicrous to me that we're putting people in jail for carrying, a certain amount of marijuana. But then, look at this Lincoln Hills situation. I mean, we have had people sexually assaulted, and the governor hasn't even gone there. He refuses to meet with family members. He refuses to speak to guards who have black eyes and are really, the facility needs so much. And he has just refused to deal with any of those things. So there are a lot of injustices, and the marijuana situation it's shocking that it's not moving forward.
Well, Martha, let's move forward. Let's talk a little more about Lincoln Hills. Scott Walker, made some sort of tepid announcement. He might close it in 2019, and then we hear he might be interested in accelerating the timeline. I think that the governor really wants to do is get it off the table as an electoral issue. This is a god-awful issue for both him, the Attorney General, and quite frankly, his entire Department of Corrections. Martha Lanning, do you think that Lincoln Hills is an issue to beat this man over the head with? And please tell me yes.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think it's appalling. And, I've always thought that Scott Walker is the king of kicking the can, but this is the best one because he has not stepped foot in that facility. He refuses to meet with family members of assaulted youth. He has refused to meet with a guard that was assaulted in the facility that ended up with a black eye. He has just totally washed his hands of this. And yet, he now is going to come out because he's running for office, and even people within his own party think that he's done a bad job with this, that he now is going to come out and say, hey, I'll deal with that in 2019. Well, the reason I call this the biggest kick the can, he isn't going to be governor in 2019.
Yeah.
Martha, do you think...
I mean, he is literally dumping this on the next governor, going, I have no time to go visit Lincoln Hills, and now I'm just going to say, hey, we'll deal with that in 19. He knows he's in trouble. He's not going to be governor, and he continues to ignore the situation. And the question I would have to him is, if his son had been assaulted,
right?
If his son had been assaulted, would he have expected the government to step up and do something?
Martha Lanning, the governor of the state of Wisconsin, Scott Walker, of course, created this problem of Lincoln Hills in at least a twofold fashion. He closed Ethan Allen. He shipped a bunch of primarily juvenile offenders from Milwaukee to the Northwoods. And of course, his own Act 10 undermined the state workforce, especially amongst people like union prison guards. Now, if this is a problem of his creation, and we know that his attorney general certainly had no interest in getting to the bottom of an investigation, Martha, ultimately, is this an admission of failure on Scott Walker's part? I mean, hell, he basically adopted Evan Goike's proposal.
Well, and that's what he's done. If you right now, your listeners, can go on out to the DPW Twitter site or to Senator Jen Schilling's site, and there's a list of all of the legislation that Democrats have been trying to push forward, Democrats like Evan Goike, to ensure that we get some protections into that facility. And over and over again, they've just been rejected. And so Governor Walker is, at least, I will give him that he is finally saying something about it, but why he is not visited there, why he is not taking action now. These people cannot, and it's not even going to be 2019 because that's just in that budget. It could be 21 before anything happens, for heaven's sakes. So this is just a perfect example of how, one, Scott Walker kicks the can. He never wants to deal with challenging problems. And two, he is an absentee governor. He is worried about his own political career, and he has no interest in taking care of the issues that Wisconsinites need him to deal with. And that's not who we are. You know, we are not going to have a facility where people are being abused. Both guards are being hurt and the youth. It's a terrible situation, and we need somebody who has the skills to deal with it, and it certainly isn't Scott Walker.
Well, and that's obvious, and I think that goes to show you. I mean, he has not showed up to the juvenile or adult correctional facilities. There's an absolute lack of leadership there, which is a little ironic coming from the preacher's kid. I wanted to ask you, Martha Lanning, we were talking prior to you coming on. There's a piece in the HuffPost talking about the money being spent against Tammy Baldwin. Already over $3 million conservative groups have spent, according to HuffPost, in the state of Wisconsin, and I don't believe that includes the dark money groups. Want to get your thoughts.
No,
there's going to be an onslaught of outside money coming in against Tammy and certainly against anybody who goes up against Scott Walker. How does the Democratic Party of Wisconsin, the candidates, how do you counteract that?
Well, I want you to know first that it's $5 million that's been spent against Tammy, and it is 5 times more money spent against Tammy Baldwin, our senator, than all of the other U.S. Senate candidates up in 2018 combined.
Wow.
So they are coming after Tammy Baldwin like no other, right? And why? Because Tammy Baldwin works for all of us. She believes in Wisconsin and Wisconsinites. And when, you know, a big hedge fund comes in and they buy up a paper company in Brokaw and they shut it down and eliminate all those jobs, it was Tammy Baldwin who put forward legislation to stop people from doing that. It's Tammy Baldwin who's putting Buy American clauses in to try to save jobs here in Wisconsin. It's Tammy Baldwin who stood up for and did across the aisle bipartisan legislation to go after drug companies like that EpiPen that were trying to rip off consumers and prevent them from getting the medication they want. So these big right-wing organizations are coming in here because she is a barrier to their greedy, horrible agenda. And they are threatened by her, and they are pouring money into her. And what are we going to do about it? So first is we have built a much stronger infrastructure. We have over 10 people on our organizing staff that are out all over Wisconsin engaging our greatest asset, which is the people of Wisconsin, to get involved, to talk with your neighbors. And we encourage people to contact us. If you want to volunteer, go on our website, tell us you want to volunteer, we'll connect you up with a group, or if you'd like to form a group of your own. Secondly, we're encouraging people to get behind our candidates. The only way that we can change and get money out of politics is we've got to get control. And so we need people to help us by funding our programs. Both the Democratic Party can use your support and our candidates will use your support, whatever you can afford, because we all saw that Bernie Sanders, with little tiny dollars, raised a lot of money, and we can do it too. And then third is to be sure that you're helping us get the right message out. When these right-wing groups go out there and say inaccurate information, we need you to be sure that you're helping us get the right information out in your community, because these people are from out of state and they just have a greedy agenda.
Well, Martha, less than a year from the general election, of course, this November, 2 alternative visions for the state of Wisconsin. You and I have talked off air. You know, and I know that we want to turn this state blue. You and I do. But from a Republican's point of view, it's one last state office holder and the state of Wisconsin effectively turns red. Martha Lanning, the environment could be there for a blue wave, but, it could be there for red winning the map. How do we turn it blue?
Well, we have to be sure that people are hearing our message. I think in the last election, we needed to do a better job of telling voters in Wisconsin what the Democrats were going to do for them, for right there in their community. And, people didn't hear that strongly. So that's number one. Number two is we didn't have the resources to get out all over the state. And so that's why we built this organizing team, to be sure that in every corner of our state, they're hearing from us, and that they know that even though you may not have any Democratic candidates in your area, this is what we're going to do for you. And then 3 is we know we're on the right side of issues. The Republicans have moved forward. For 7 years, they complained about the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, for 7 years. And they put forward several of their plans, which ripped healthcare away from 20 million people, that put people who had cancer at risk of never being able to get insurance again. And overwhelmingly, Americans said, this is crazy. What are they trying to do to us? This tax plan that they just moved forward with, 80% of the benefit is going to the 1%, the richest people in our country. Now, I don't know about you, but have you noticed that it's not corporations that are really struggling right now? The stock market has not been plummeting. And so the issue is, why are the Republicans continuing to just support greedy special interests and just a greedy few? It's because those are the people that are funding them and are supporting them. And it's the Democratic Party who wants to work for everyone, for the many, not the few. So we need to get out there and be sure that we're getting that message out, and voters will turn out.
Martha Lanning, our friend, chair of the Democratic Party of Wisconsin. Don't forget, Foxconn sucks. Martha.
It does.
You're great, though. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. Happy weekend. We'll talk again soon and often.
Thank you so much. Talk to you soon.
Thank you, Martha. Folks, we are the Devil's Advocates. Phone lines open to you. You can join us right now. Toll free, 844-967-2789. What's the secret to turning this state blue? Listen to WRD. That's a good place to start.
Just might get some sleep tonight.
They'd like to take me out for a lot of reasons far bigger than just this election.
He's an absentee landlord.
I love being governor.
My name is Adam Holmes, and I'm proud to be union.
Adam, you're Director of Training for Painters District Council 7. What do you do?
I'm making sure that we're investing in our members. We're providing the safest and best trained painters, glazers, drywall finishers, and trade show workers in the industry, and we also do that at no cost to the taxpayers.
Why hire unions?
Because it costs less to be safe. We keep the contractor on the right side of OSHA and help keep the workmen's comp rates affordable. Join us, Painters and Allied Trades, District Council 7.
Have a drink at Regano's Roman Coin. This neighborhood corner tavern is as classic as the street it occupies. Family owned and operated since 1966, Regano's Roman Coin is located in a former Pabst Tide House on historic Brady Street, serving an array of craft beers with a focus on Wisconsin breweries. Also, weekly drink specials, trivia on Wednesdays, seasonal sporting events, parties hosted for all occasions, and pet friendly. Open 11 a.m. Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. Saturday and Sunday, closed on Monday. Regano's Roman Coin, Milwaukee's pet friendly, cash only order and classic corner tavern.
My name is Lola Silvestri, and I'm going to be 95 this year. I was very independent. I fell, and I had to have Meals on Wheels. America, let's do lunch.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
Live via phone, he is former U.S. Attorney Jim Santel.
Firing Bob Mueller doesn't mean that the prosecution, the investigation goes away. Pardoning one individual does not mean that you undo everything that has been done before. So this notion that somehow by shutting down and by pardoning and by sort of stopping the process, you're also stopping the wheels of justice is simply, again, it's simply wrong.
The Devil's Advocates, weekday afternoons on 1510 a.m., Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
Wisconsin's doing terribly. The roads are a disaster because they don't have any money to rebuild them. They're borrowing money like crazy. They projected a $1 billion surplus, and it turns out to be a deficit of $2.2 billion. The schools are a disaster. The hospitals and education is a disaster. And when I see Scott Walker with his little motorcycle and he puts his helmet on and he gets off and he makes a speech, but he's always riding like he gets off a bike like he's a big tough guy, okay, or a little tough guy. Their lobbyists, their special interests, and their donors will start calling. They gave you $1 million to your campaign, and this one gave you $5, and this one you have to do it. You know what he's going to say? Okay, I'll do it.
Mr. Trump, you're using the talking points of the Democrats, and as we all know,
I'm using facts.
This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org.
Rich is just a really, really, really good guy. The term good egg isn't enough to describe him. He's also certified organic and free range. Rich puts the cap back on everything. The toothpaste, the olive oil, the shampoo, everything. He lets his 10-year-old nephew beat him at virtual tennis, even though he can straight up slay his 10-year-old nephew in virtual tennis. When the toilet paper is running low, Rich replaces the roll on the actual holder, not just on the back of the toilet. Rich is texting and driving. Rich, no. What are you doing, Rich? I was just telling everyone how great you are. Texting and driving makes good people look bad. Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
The Devil's Advocates. Political commentary from the back of the class.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show live on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, 1510 AM WRRD. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter at Devil Radio. We're streaming on YouTube as well, and you can join us. Hell, people, it's Fridays. You got to have something to say. Were you around this week? 844-967-2789.
I want to thank our most recent guest, Martha Lanning, the chair of the Democratic Party of Wisconsin. Thank you, Martha. And I sure as hell hope we turn this state blue, man. I am sick of living in a red-ass state. But here are some predictions from our friend, Bruce Murphy. And these, much like Will Durst's predictions, Tom, these are some surefire predictions.
Bet the farm.
For 2018. How crazy will 2018 be? Let us count the ways. Dom, I got to take the first one.
All right,
please.
You go.
I'll start with the lead-in paragraph. You thought 2017 was bizarre? You ain't seen nothing yet. We have consulted our infallible crystal ball and can clearly see the startling events to come in 2018. Number 1, Scott Walker announces a hair transplant. 2 weeks before announcing he will run for president, Governor Scott Walker discloses he has undergone a hair transplant in response to rude reporters asking about male pattern baldness. Walker dismisses suggestions with his usual Eagle Scout forthrightness. Honestly, I just keep hitting my head on the kitchen cabinet, and that causes the bald spot to grow. Dom, I know we'll never get these all in, so let's save this topic. Let's do a little more predicting on behalf of Bruce Murphy. But I would point out, there is a Scott Walker butt plug. We know we had it commissioned. And it, in fact, has a matching cabinet injury. It could also use a hair transplant. You can find a Scott Walker butt plug. You can get one for yourself. Go see our friend, Fernando Sosa. Fernando produces them, 3D printer. I think they're like $29 for the Walker Eagle Scout edition.
On the bottom it says the Devil's Advocates, so you know it's quality.
You know it's the best. PoliticalSculptor.com. I forgot we made those in honor of Walker's failed presidential campaign comeback. We never fail to entertain. Hour 2 is next.
They call me the ratings machine.
Make a resolution, Milwaukee, to eat your fruits and vegetables. Go to the new Pete's Fruit Market on Martin Luther King and North Ave. Find the freshest fruit, always the perfect peach. Pete's Fruit Market is a brand new, modern, full-service grocery with an in-store butcher shop. Go see the manager, Vidal, for daily specials at the new Pete's Fruit Market on North Ave and MLK. Tell them that the Devil's Advocate sent you.
Hi, I'm Anton Capella, Chief Technology Officer at Five Nines. Five Nines is more than just our name. It's the level of service you can expect. We provide 99.999% uptime. That's the highest availability and performance you can get. You have enough to worry about with your business data, web, security, and cloud services, so we'll manage your IT so you don't have to. Visit 5nines.com. That's the number 5nines.com.
So I'm a cat, and I just moved in with this new human, and she's got this little toy she's always playing with, all day long. Tap, 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 bloop, bloop. She can't put it down. There it is. Oh, and get this. She even talks to it. Last week, she asked it for Chinese, and guess what? Egg rolls showed up. Like magic. Humans have cool toys.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt.
Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
Okay, forest animals, kids are coming to the forest, and it's up to us to make their visit a good one. Sparrow, have you practiced the most popular bird songs for the year?
Of course.
Catchy. I like it. River, how's the temperature?
It's a refreshing 52 degrees, man.
I love it. Turtle.
He's not here yet, man.
He's late every morning. Okay. Squirrel.
The forest has been preparing just for you. To learn more about cool things to do in the forest, visit discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
You are listening to Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, WRRD, 1510 AM, Waukesha, Milwaukee.
No more silence, taking and talking stock. I'm Michael Toscano. The United Nations Security Council meeting in emergency session requested by the United States. The subject, the anti-government protests sweeping Iran by its own citizens. U.S. Ambassador Nikki Haley.
In 2009, the world stood by passively while the hopes of the Iranian people were crushed by their government. In 2018, we will not be silent.
There are differences between the U.S. and Europe over how to address the situation in Iran, with Washington coming down much harder on the Iranian government. The Mexican man acquitted of murder recently in the shooting death of a San Francisco woman that sparked a national immigration debate was sentenced this afternoon to time served for a related gun charge. Jan Johnson joins us with more.
The judge denied a request for a new trial on another charge of illegal gun possession, sentencing Jose Inés Garcia Zarate to time served. Garcia Zarate had been deported 5 times before Kate Steinle was shot dead on a San Francisco pier in 2015. He'll now be turned over to federal authorities, but his acquittal reignited a furor from critics who want tougher immigration policies.
The FBI is investigating again whether the Clinton Foundation accepted donations in exchange for political favors while Hillary Clinton was Secretary of State. Additional accusations of sexual misconduct, including rape, against Oscar-winning filmmaker Paul Haggis this afternoon. A lawyer for Haggis, known for the films Crash and $1 Million Baby, said he didn't rape anybody. President Trump helicoptered to Camp David this afternoon for a weekend huddling with Republican congressional leaders on their legislative agenda, the president first pausing to talk stocks.
The stock market is up very, very big today. We've set new records, and I think they'll be continued to set. The tax cuts are really kicking in far beyond what anyone thought.
Trading is just closed for the week. No official final numbers just yet, but the Dow jumped about 200 points there toward the end for the best start to a year since 2006. I'm Michael Toscano.
Do you own a rental property, or would you like to partner with a rental investment team? Call the pros you can trust at CCL Management. Rental expertise second to none, a general contractor on staff to direct repairs and improvements, and real estate brokerage services tailored to the small investor. If you're ready to invest in rental property or just need professionals to manage your real estate portfolio, call us, CCL Management, at 608-833-0009 or visit us on the web at cclmanagement.com.
I'm State Representative Jocasta Zamaripa.
And I'm Joel Clayfish.
Listen to us on the Joel and Jocasta Show, Saturdays at 3 p.m.
She's a Latina woman from the inner city of Milwaukee, and I'm a white guy from the suburbs. Diversity in the white guy. You are not going to believe what you hear on this show. I'm telling you, you're going to have to listen. News Talk, 1510 AM, WRRD.
Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
For that near disaster last year in California when America's tallest dam started to give way, causing evacuations downstream. Well, Jim Roop reports the just-released investigation points to human failure.
A long-term systematic failure of the California Department of Water Resources. Both regulatory and general industry practices is what the report says is to blame. Weak construction and repairs over the 50 years of the dam, and the department's inability to recognize those weaknesses or ignore them. Quoting the report, complacency and overconfidence. More than 500 construction workers worked all through the summer to reconstruct the spillway. It was completed in November, but work still needs to be done to reinforce that work as the rainy season is about to begin. Jim Roop, Los Angeles.
Most cable and satellite TV customers got an unwelcome Christmas gift, higher bills. Comcast, for instance, says bills will rise 2.2% on average this year. AT&T is raising DirecTV prices $8 a month. Prices have risen almost twice as fast as inflation. I'm Michael Toscano.
Going through divorce is a very emotional time in someone's life, and when I went through my first divorce, I really needed someone to help me through the legal aspects of what my rights were. That's why I got in contact with Lawton & Cates.
The attorneys at Lawton & Cates. It's who you turn to for legal advice. 282-6200 or lawtoncates.com.
When you need an attorney, trust the voice of experience. The only choice, Lawton & Cates.
Welcome back to The Dog Show. Up next, we have Satchmo. Satchmo is a member of the Shelter Pet Group.
That's right, a group known especially for their couch-snuggling, ball-chasing, face-licking, and, of course, companionship. Now, let's see him in action.
Look how he makes eye contact with his person.
That's actually known as the treat stare.
How intuitive, and now he appears to be excitedly turning in circles.
Ah, the happy dance so common with this group.
But really, the best way to know an amazing shelter pet like Satchmo is to meet one.
Visit theshelterpetproject.org today. Adopt.
Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States.
Good afternoon. It is 3:05 for 1510 a.m. WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. My name is Brian Kelly. Governor Walker announced a plan yesterday to close down Wisconsin's teen prison and open 5 regional detention centers. The governor's plan will turn the Lincoln Hills School for Boys into an adult facility and open 5 smaller facilities, including 3 in southeastern Wisconsin. Lincoln Hills is located about 30 miles north of Wausau, causing families to drive 4 or 5 hours from Milwaukee or Racine to visit members who are locked up there. Democrats were mostly supportive of the governor's announcement, but some mentioned that his change in position on Lincoln Hills is an election year ploy to deflect an issue that could be used against him. Tonight, mostly clear, lows around -5. Wind chills between -10 and -20. Tomorrow, sunshine, highs around 12 degrees, wind chills between -10 and -20. It is currently 12 degrees in Milwaukee and 7 in Waukesha for 1510 a.m. My name is Brian Kelly.
The following program is a presentation of DC Communications, LLC. Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening.
3, 2, 1.
Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Thank God it's Friday, hour 2.
You're welcome, Michael.
And we definitely want to talk about Fire and Fury, the Trump book of the year. So far, this has been the most compelling work of nonfiction or fiction, depending on whether you believe the righties or the lefties, so far. But it's early.
Can it be both? I mean, you interview people. Well, we'll get into it. Let's continue on some Wisconsin focus, and then we'll certainly get to the president.
Dom, we were doing this little piece, urbanmilwaukee.com, online daily. Our friend Bruce Murphy, 11 surefire predictions for 2018. I led with number 1. Scott Walker announces a hair transplant, that damnable cabinet injury that keeps broadening like the side of a barn on the top of his head.
He just keeps hitting the desk after kissing the Koch brothers' ass all the time.
It's too bad he's a faux Christian and not a faux Jew. He could put a yarmulke on that
Cover
thing.
that thing up. All right, number 2, Crudy.
Molotov.
Of the 11 surefire predictions for 2018, Republicans ban wetlands. Fitzgerald and Voss propose new law that will ban wetlands in Wisconsin, and the measure quickly attracts 50 Republican co-sponsors. We're tired of half measures, Fitzgerald declares. We're tired of ex-DNR staffers lecturing us on the supposed value of these friggin' swamps. We've got plenty of lakes and rivers, so why do we need all these mucky marshes?
Mayor, number 3, Mayor creates new office of visioning. In response to critics claiming he has no vision, Mayor Tom Baird announces a new cabinet-level officer, the Commissioner of Visions. Could it be the Commissioner of Hallucinations? Because there are a few guys here on the street, Tom. The Commissioner of Visions will be appointed, though he really isn't sure who he will appoint or when. When asked if he's worried about Republicans might differ with some of these visions, Barrett's Chief of Staff, Patrick Curley, says he's not concerned. I will verbally pummel anyone who disagrees, or physically if I have to.
Number 4, Sykes recants his liberal views. After a dramatic decline in sales of his book, How the Right Lost Its Mind, former conservative turned liberal Charlie Sykes reveals he was struck by lightning on a drive back to his Mequon Cape Cod and has now seen the light. And it clearly comes from the right, which is to say he's now become a conservative again, mostly. And by the way, I'll be earning much more money from the new gig as a commentator on Fox than I did from those liberal pikers at MSNBC, Sykes crowed.
Number 5, Peg Rogensack rules all criticism of the court illegal. I am hereby issuing a blanket contempt of court order against all commentators who dare to criticize me or the state's high court, the Chief Justice declares. I'm looking at you, Janine Jeske and Spencer Black and all negative Nellies in the media. You know who you are, Crudy and Dom.
Yes, you suck.
These attacks are ruining the reputation of the finest, most expensively purchased Supreme Court in state history. So nix on the carping or you'll be behind bars faster than we can say, shut up, Shirley.
Oh, if that weren't so on point, it'd be even funnier. Number 6, Zelensky proposes new organ harvesting program.
Now remember, these are deadlock, take them to the bookie predictions by our friend.
11 surefire predictions for 2018. Urban Milwaukee, Murphy's Law from Bruce Murphy. Again, Zelensky proposes new organ harvesting program. Alderman and mayoral candidate Tony Zelensky calls a press conference to announce a unique new idea to save money for Milwaukee taxpayers using the remains of dead Milwaukee County pensioners. Look, I blew it by voting for the county pension backdrop, which has cost taxpayers $300 million. But this could recoup some of the money by harvesting and selling organs of dead backdrop recipients. When told this would be unconstitutional, not to mention illegal, not to mention it's a city issue, Zelensky said he would call on the state to legalize his proposal.
Well, thank goodness he's got the Republicans in Madison. Number 7, the state refuses Foxconn demand for a new subsidy. That one's not coming true, but let me read it to you. In a surprise response to a Taiwan company's request for another subsidy to help pay for nets around its manufacturing plant in Racine County. You know, the suicide nets.
Oh, that's terrible.
Scotty Wanker said no. It doesn't matter if employees in other Foxconn plants have been jumping out of windows to escape horrific conditions because Wisconsin has the hardest workers in the world and they would never do that. Besides, it would be cheaper for Foxconn and the taxpayers are always my first concern if the company simply builds its plant without any windows.
Number 8.
No high ledges to jump off.
Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel changes the name. The daily paper, whose history goes back to the founding of the Milwaukee Sentinel in 1837, announces it will change its name to the Milwaukee Barrel and Tourism Report. We found many readers were confused by our name and expect regular coverage of the Milwaukee metro area when we are really dedicated to constant in-depth 24 coverage of dangerous chemicals in barrel-making plants and in drinks for Mexican tourists, said JS Journal-Sentinel editor George Stanley. Now we have a quick, easy answer to all those pesky complaints.
Number 9, the Shimmelnator announces an investigation of the Attorney General. Can he investigate himself? And of course, would he? But let's read the prediction. In a stunning reversal of past positions, Republican AG Brad Schimmel announces his office will investigate its own leader for legal and ethical violations. Why did I Let me try that again. Why did I illegally release all those John Doe documents, Schimmel asks? Why did I drop the investigation of abuses at Lincoln Hill School for Boys? Why did I relaunch an investigation of alleged voter fraud after my office investigated and found no evidence it had occurred? I think we need to investigate the investigator.
Hear, hear. Number 10, County Board agrees with Abley for the first time in modern memory. The Milwaukee County Board declares it agrees with County Executive Chris Abley. We haven't actually decided what we agree with him about, but there must be something. Maybe the color scheme chosen for the county exec's office, says County Board Chairman Leo Lipscomb. The broader point is that we are not closed-minded and always ready and willing to overlook our differences with the sneaky, satanic, rich elitist county executive about something, sometime, someday.
Number 11th, the 20th Democrat running for governor, Joe Dokes, a barber whom no one has ever heard of, announces he is running for the governor against Scott Walker. No, it's not a long shot candidacy, Dokes insists. With 20 people... I mean, some are actually doing the math as such, Tom. With 20 people running, I could win with a little more than 5% of the vote between my large extended family and my many satisfied customers. I could ace the primary. Dom, quick prediction.
Well done, Bruce Murphy.
Yeah, some
Urban
funny
Milwaukee.
stuff there.
Yeah.
Contained Urban Milwaukee Online
Some
Daily.
hits a little too close to home, though, I got to tell you.
What about this ever expanding field of Democratic gubernatorial candidates? Here's the weird part. You know, you talk to Martha Lanning, Democratic Party chair, and I talked to her off the air, and I do perceive her as a friend, and I talk about the messaging. And the messaging, historically, you know where the messaging came from last year for Wisconsin Democrats? Russ Feingold, top of the ticket. So right now, you've got Tammy Baldwin, a clear leader and top of the ticketer, but one would expect whoever is the next gubernatorial nominee, at least between there and the general election, should speak for the party, right? And I'm not diminishing the value of having a tremendous progressive senator like Tammy Baldwin in the U.S. Senate from the great state of Wisconsin. But what I'm saying is, quite frankly, the chief executive role here in the state of Wisconsin might be the more monumental election happening here this year. And when you got a dozen, 15, perhaps 20 with Joe Dokes, do you have anybody? I mean, do
You said
you
the same
have
thing about the Republican
a clear-cut
field.
leader? I mean, they Scott Walker appropriated the proposal of Democrats. You know, now suddenly it's his bright idea to close Lincoln Hills. About time. But of course, he's just stealing someone else's good idea and trying to...
And of course, there's been an FBI investigation going on for years. Sooner or later, that will wrap up. Perhaps it comes to conclusion in the next, 12 months or so.
Okay, so he wants to keep the stank of the investigation off him, but he has no problem stealing from the Democrats, the ideas of the Democrats. And I mean, he's out there bragging about it today. Scott Walker is bragging about the fact that, the Democrats that aren't my political opponents think it's a good idea. Well, it's their proposal. Yes, you stole their idea. They think it is also a good idea, but when it's time to respond, they got a quote from like half a dozen Dem gubernatorial candidates, because who speaks for the Democratic Party currently here in the state of Wisconsin?
Fundraising numbers will come out at some point. That will be some indicator of who's really legitimate and who's not.
Yeah, but if you could win the primary with 5, 6, 8, 12%, I mean, so what if you're broke? I'm broke. I'm still doing radio. Come back with us. More broke-ass radio after this short break on WRD 1510 AM, Wisconsin's only broke-ass resistance radio.
We don't know who you are or where you're going.
I was on Zero Res Madison's Facebook page the other day, and they have almost 2,000 testimonials from local customers. Apparently, I'm not the only one stoked on how cool this company is. A green technology that actually works better and doesn't cost more. It's a no-brainer. I'm in. We are starting our own Devil's Advocates revolution to free your carpets from harsh chemicals and soaps. Call Zero Res today and ask for the Diamond Crude Special 608-848-9000 or schedule online at ZeroResMadison.com. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward. It's the right way to clean.
Hi, I'm Crudy. I'm here with Bill Carroll, president of Teamsters Local 344. Bill, why are you union? Teamster strong.
Well, Crudy, our strength comes from our membership. The Teamsters are North America's strongest labor union with 1.4 million members.
Bill, what does the Teamsters do for the next generation?
The same thing that the Teamsters have done for the last 100 years, assisting groups of workers in negotiating improvements in their wages, hours, and working conditions.
Where do people go if they want to know more about the Teamsters, more about joining the union?
There's 3 easy options. They can call Local 344 at 414-258-4545. They can contact us through our website. That's local344.org. Local, the number is 344.org, or they can contact us through the Local 344 Facebook page.
Be union strong. Join Teamsters 344. Be like Rudy. Be like News Talk 1510 AM. Stand with the unions. Join the Teamsters. Local344.org.
The Resistance is live 7 days a week here on 1510 AM WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. Tune in Saturdays for Busted Pencils, fully leaded education talk with Dr. Tim Slecker, 11 a.m. to noon. Then it's the voice of the voiceless, champion of the working class. Earl Ingram's Saturday show is live from 12 to 3 p.m. Then Right Meets Left with the Joel and Joe Costa show. Republican State Rep Joel Clayfish and Democratic State Rep Joe Costa Zamaripa go toe-to-toe from 3 to 4. Always streaming at newstalk1510am.com, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
Music is a bridge between the material and the spiritual. My name is Harvey Lauer, and I'm 82. As a blind person, you have to be aware that nobody can tell you what you can or can't do. You really have to try things. My folks got me a little radio in 1940, and that was the best Christmas present I ever got. When I was 11 years old is when I started to play music, play the piano, and then the accordion, and then the cello. My wife, who was also blind, was a good cook. When she died, that's when I started Meals on Wheels. America, let's do lunch.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
This is Mario Andretti. You know me as a race car driver, but I'm also a Meals on Wheels volunteer. I've raced against the sport's biggest personalities, but I've never met more vibrant, amazing people than the seniors served by Meals on Wheels. You can make a difference by dropping off a hot meal and saying a quick hello. So, America, let's do lunch. Volunteer your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
It only takes a minute to find out if you may have prediabetes, and you can do it at doihaveprediabetes.org. But you're probably not going to, are you? Kids, work, listening to the radio. You're busy, which is great because busy people can't get prediabetes. Oh my, I read that wrong. They can. Should have worn my glasses. So visit doihaveprediabetes.org and take a short test, because prediabetes can be reversed.
Brought to you by the Ad Council and its pre-diabetes awareness partners.
The Devil's Advocates, making radio great again.
Somewhere in a lonely hotel room, this guy started to realize that eternal fate has turned its back on him.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show live on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio 1510 AM WRRD. Streaming live on YouTube, Facebook. We're on Twitter at Devil Radio. And we're on the phones this Friday. Air your grievances here. And now, 844-967-2789. I know we got a lot of listeners out there. Some of you are finding us. Don't be shy. Friday is your day.
Dominic, we promised we would talk Trump, and we will talk Trump right now. A little Trump trash. And Brian, you know your place in there, young man. I'll come through that glass.
What's going on, man? I'm between you big fellas.
You know, I'm not clear. I think somehow you've shorted out a microphone or something, and he keeps wanting me to turn it up, but I'm worried if I do that, I might give a little...
You got to turn it gently with the knob. Gently with the knob, Curdy. It's not a big button. It's an average-sized button.
I'm 10 years old, but I'll beat your ass.
I want to scissor kick you in the back of the head.
Kiss both you guys. Left cheek, right cheek. You guys figure it out. Here's a headline I'd like to throw out there for your consideration, buddy. And perhaps even your wife's. Trump thought betting friends' wives made life worth living.
Oh, my.
Trump thought betting friends' wives made life worth living. Well, don't we all?
Yeah.
But especially the women made me feel good.
Oh, yes.
President Trump used to boast that one of the things that made life worth living was sleeping with his friends' wives, according to a new tell-all book. In pursuing a friend's wife, he would try to persuade the wife that her husband was perhaps not what she thought, Author Michael Wolff quotes a Trump friend as saying, before he was president, Trump would have his secretary ask the friend to drop by his office, where he would subject him to more or less constant sexual banter, according to Fire and Fury Inside the Trump White House, a copy of which has been obtained by the Post. With his wife listening on speakerphone, Trump would say, "Do you still like having sex with your wife? How often? You must have had a better F than your wife. Tell me about it. I've had girls coming in from Los Angeles at 3 o'clock. We can go upstairs and have a great time, I promise."
It sounds nice. It's not nice. It's not good.
According to the Post, one pal who was also friends with Bill Clinton found the two men eerily similar, quote, except that Clinton had a respectable front and Trump did not, according to the book, which comes out, of course, today. Wow. So he'd set up these guys in order to, divide and conquer, put the wife, his buddy's wife on speakerphone in his office, set him up with sex conversations, and then, presumably follow up with the wife and say, hey, see? Now, why don't you come over and come to my apartment and I'll show you a real man.
Well, apparently, Dom, that's cheaper than buying her furniture.
Perhaps. But you got to get her in the office. You got to get her on the phone. And I have girls coming in from Los Angeles at 3 o'clock. We can go upstairs and have a great time. I promise.
Do you think he said, I promise, or was it a
believe me?
I do believe these accounts. The question is whether or not this writer, this Wolff guy, is credible.
Dr. Evil?
I find him entirely credible, mostly because anything that has been reported is barely shocking. It is hardly newsworthy. I mean, it might be salacious, but this tell-all book is everything I thought Trump was. It's exactly who I think Trump is. Why would I not believe the author of this book, Dom? He is who I thought he was.
Because the president has told us, and we heard through his spokesperson, Sarah Huckabee Sanders yesterday, full of lies. Full of lies. It's being denied by the White House. So how can you not believe your president? Are you being unpatriotic? Aren't you supposed to respect the office and the presidency?
I got a few questions for you, Sylvia. Do you still like having sex with your wife?
Oh, yeah. Crudy, do you still like having sex with your wife?
Absolutely. A question for you. How often?
As often as she'll let me.
Depends on how heavily she's sleeping, Dom.
Oh my! I mean, this is terrible. I mean, it is, and again, it goes to the character, and if you believe it, and there have been some things, perhaps, that have been challenged. Like the age of some of the people in the book, and perhaps he did know who John Boehner was, maybe he didn't. And if you believe some of the reporting, it could be understandable that a guy like Trump, with his mind worrying around every second, would not know immediately who John Boehner was, given the circumstances he found himself in, even though, of course, he probably knows him. So I get that, but overall, when you let this guy come in, sleep on your couch for months, and then he comes out with a book, and now everyone's shocked. I mean, what did you think he was doing there? But from the reporting, from the book, it seemed like everyone was too busy bouncing from one foot to the other to realize that, ask the guy, what are you doing here?
Well, at least this Michael Wolff, he screwed Trump but not Trump's wife. And that leads me to the question, what's Steffi doing later? Folks, we are the Devil's Advocates. Both got pretty wives. We often covet our neighbor's wife. How's the grass over on your side?
It's always green, baby.
Come back with us. Your phone calls always welcome. Gotta do more Trump trash. And our phone number, 844-967-2789.
Fire, fury, and frankly, power.
Since your old man ain't got no heart, maybe you'd like to see a real man. I bet you stay up late every night dreaming you had a real man, don't you? I tell you what, bring your pretty little self over to my apartment tonight, and I'll show you a real man.
Why is Connor having trouble focusing in school? Having trouble finding Connor's middle school? Would you like directions?
No, why is Connor having trouble focusing in school?
Finding lowest airfare to Istanbul.
No, I'm tired of fighting with him over homework.
Home Walk Restaurant. Need a review?
No, I need help. He's very smart, but his mind wanders. He's disorganized.
I think I understand.
Oh, good.
Finding best potatoes for French fries.
No!
Russet. Fingerling. Yukon Gold.
Why don't you understand me?
Sorry, I was trying to show how Connor feels every day. Frustrating, isn't it? Redirecting to understood.org.
For the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues, this is what life can feel like. Explore understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues, designed to help your child thrive in school and in life. Understood.org, because understanding is everything.
Brought to you by understood.org and the Ad Council.
The Stephanie Miller Show is on twice daily, 6 to 9 p.m. and midnight to 3 a.m. You can stream The Stephanie Miller Show and all of our fine programming on newstalk1510am.com.
Wisconsin Republican Attorney General Brad Schimmel claims he will further investigate the investigators of the John Doe 2 investigation because it was all a partisan witch hunt. Wisconsin State Rep Chris Taylor said this.
There is absolutely no concern expressed by this Attorney General or these Republican legislators about the underlying criminal conduct that this corruption investigation revealed. Scott Walker was breaking laws.
And Brad Schimmel fails to acknowledge the 6 criminal convictions, 4 felonies in the Scott Walker John Doe 1. Was that also a partisan witch hunt?
One newspaper has done a good job. It's a national paper, the Wall Street Journal.
And A.G. Schimmel filed an embarrassing hack partisan bull report where he's still looking for the leaker. Get a clue! Wasn't it Eric O'Keefe from Wisconsin Club for Growth?
Well, I was born to do this.
This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org. P4ppc.org. Have a drink at Regano's Roman Coin. This neighborhood corner tavern is as classic as the street it occupies. Family owned and operated since 1966, Regano's Roman Coin is located in a former Pabst Tide House on historic Brady Street, serving an array of craft beers with a focus on Wisconsin breweries. Also, weekly drink specials, trivia on Wednesdays, seasonal sporting events, parties hosted for all occasions, and pet friendly. Open 11 a.m. Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. Saturday and Sunday, closed on Monday. Regano's Roman Coin, Milwaukee's pet friendly, cash only order and classic corner tavern.
We got Mark Pocan, live via phone. Mark, does Paul Ryan hate poor people?
Oh, he hates poor people and middle-class people. I mean, I think when he was probably 5 years old playing with Play-Doh, trying to, adjust the taxes on Play-Doh. And so, to be fair, I think he's doing what he always said he was going to do. It's just no one actually believed he was either that cruel, evil, or dumb to do it.
The Devil's Advocates, weekday afternoons on 1510 AM, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. Good afternoon. It is 3:32 for 1510 AM WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. My name is Brian Kelly. Here's some headlines for you. Governor Walker announced a plan yesterday to close down Wisconsin's teen prison and open 5 regional detention centers. The first construction related to Foxconn begins on Monday, with road work on frontage roads near the planned site. Former Milwaukee County Sheriff David A. Clark, who is often critical of government agencies and workers, will be receiving more than $100,000 a year in pensions from his government jobs. Pollution violations at a Milwaukee area barrel refurbishing plant have been referred to the State Department of Justice for possible litigation, and the city of Milwaukee has reportedly reached an agreement with the American Sewer Services to terminate 2 of their 11 contracts with the city. Tonight, mostly clear, lows around -5. Keep warm out there. It's 12 degrees in Milwaukee and 7 in Waukesha for 1510 AM. My name is Brian Kelly.
The Devil's Advocates may not agree on much, but funny is funny.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Dom, of course, what are they calling it? Fast and Furious.
No, the book.
The Fury. We don't know what the book's called anymore.
Fire, Fury, and frankly, Power.
I think frankly, Power will be the follow-up.
That'll be book 2. Frankly, it's just Power.
Well, we have the book's author, at least sound thereof. We have Michael Wolff talking about this tell-all piece. And, the righties are out there, especially the trolls. You know who you are, Mike Stanley. Putting as much misinformation, one might assume, as the book was just released at midnight. I don't think Mike Stanley has read it. I know I haven't read it.
Yeah, but the president, Trump, has said it's full of lies. You don't really even need
How
to
would
read
he
it.
know? That would require reading it, and we know he cannot read.
Because anything critical of this president, this great president who only has the best words and the best people and the greatest everything always, none of that could ever be true.
So someone read the negative comments to Trump. Who had that great job? Knowing how well he responds to criticism. You know, who got to be the book on tape guy for Trump overnight when he's telling him, and then he called your son Don Jr., Paul Manafort, and your son-in-law Jared Kushner treasonous and unpatriotic, Mr. Trump.
All right, get me that razor over there and take your hands off.
And leave my toothbrush alone.
Let's get to the sound. Michael Wolff. This is the author, perhaps a tell-all or a work of fiction, according to many of the writers who, of course, have not yet read this book, but don't like the tone. So play it for the people. Michael Wolff, cut 80, Fancy Brian.
The transformation was, we thought this presidency could work. We thought Donald Trump is an interesting, unique character, and we might be able to do something here. And they saw him over that time come to the conclusion he cannot do this job.
Now, in this book, it is asserted that Donald Trump really did not think he was going to win, did not want to win. Perhaps Melania was tearful, although it's been denied by both the president and the First Lady's office, that she cried at the news that her husband was the president. And as I had heard it described, Dom,
her and me both,
he went through like sort of stages of befuddlement and denial, and then finally,
the 7 stages of winning.
Well, and then finally he decided, he effectively was the anointed one. He must be the president. Of course, what other conclusion would a narcissist like Donald Trump reach?
But let me just push back a little bit, at least on that premise. If we were to look back and recall, towards the end of that election, one of the criticisms of Hillary Clinton, that she didn't come back to Wisconsin. She didn't go a lot of places.
But Donald Trump was out working his ass off.
He was always running around. He ran, the last couple of months of that campaign, he was moving. So does that seem like the actions of a man who was not trying to win?
I'm not clear if he was trying to win or just self-aggrandize.
Or
he
just
loved
spread the brand.
I mean, if your job, really, what's our job? We come down here and we self-aggrandize for like 3 hours a day, tell all our audience how cool we are. They, of course, agree with us.
Come on, man. That's not exactly what we do.
Okay, we do a little prep. We try to have an intellectual conversation. But what if your job was simply walk out on stage an hour a night, no musical instrument required, don't have to entertain them. Your intellect, your shtick is your musical instrument. Go out there and make a good show.
Yeah, we've seen him do that many times, Mike.
I mean, other than lock her up, throw him out,
a lot of
crooked
chants,
media,
USA.
And then he has these adoring crowds, primarily of white, toothless men, wearing red hats. Yeah, we love you, Trump. You're the greatest, Trump, right? I mean, not such a bad gig for like a couple hours a day. Maybe a little airfare, some travel involved.
Encouraging your supporters to assault those who criticize you in the arena. Yeah, that kind of job. That's what you're talking about.
Let's not lose track of the fact that, we act like that's hard work. That ain't hard work. That's not like factory work. That's not like ditch digging hard work. So he gets on Trump Force One and he flies from rally to rally where people basically cater to him, his every whim, grab him Diet Cokes, and then they walk him out on stage and he gets to be adored by a bunch of rednecks for 45 minutes, an hour and a half, however long he wants to go. Hell, he didn't do any planning. Whatever stream of conscious he throws out there on a given day. And that, to me, does not, imply hard work.
All right,
now,
so
I
the
readily
very fact
grant
that
you,
he bounced around towards the end
he
of
went
that
to lots
campaign.
of rallies.
Yes.
But does that indicate to me that he wanted to win? It indicates to me that he's not afraid to go out there and put himself out in public because this effectively is work for him. It's a brand. Trump is the brand. So do I think Trump, the businessman, was out there working hard to accentuate his brand, let's call it?
Absolutely.
Hell yeah, but did he want to win the presidency? Well, I'm not clear that he did. And on that thing, that, if no other topic, he and I agree.
Let's keep going with the author, Michael Wolff. I think he addresses what you mentioned, Crudy. How hard is it when you have someone catering to your every whim? Apparently, he was a man who needed immediate gratification. Next one, please.
They all say he is like a child. And what they mean by that is he has a need for immediate gratification. It's all about him.
I don't know if that's quite a shocker, but...
Yeah, what's unbelievable about that statement?
That can't possibly be true. Let's keep going. I believe the interview was on NBC, the Today Show this morning, or one of those. And they asked him, or they brought up to him, that, you're being criticized here, certainly by the White House coming after you. Here was his response.
My credibility is being questioned by a man who has less credibility than perhaps anyone who has ever walked on Earth at this point.
And I would also agree with Michael Wolff there. This president has zero credibility. Let's do the last one. Michael Wolff, author of the Trump book from this morning.
What I say is where do I send the box of chocolates?
I mean, what do you say to a president that literally tried to shut down your free speech?
He's going to be on the top of the New York Times bestseller list by the end of today.
Thank you, Donald Trump. Where do I send the chocolates? Or perhaps send him a little gift card for McDonald's, because those chocolates might be poisoned.
Michael Wolff obviously will benefit greatly from the writing of this book. I mean, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread to his, book writing career. And I don't think he cares a hell of a lot whether or not righties question the credibility, because no one yet, and maybe they will, but unless they start coming out and questioning the quotes.
Well, Steve Bannon, certainly
quotes.
Didn't. Yeah, I mean, but Bannon's not denying any of this. Have you heard Bannon say, no, that wasn't me? I never said that. Have you heard him say that at all?
Trump's a great man.
And then Trump said, well, I heard he's called me a great man, so he changed his tune pretty quickly. Whatever the hell that means. But the words that came out of Bannon's mouth that are printed in this book were not denied and have not yet been denied by Bannon. So if nothing else, it at least gives you some indication that perhaps parts of his book, as it pertains to Bannon, might be accurate, might be real. And is it so far-fetched to think that this man is just chaos, that this man is outside of himself, that he surrounds himself with sycophants and yes men, is used to getting his own way, always has, and is a big bully and lashes out and threatens to sue everybody who disagrees with him or who criticizes him? I mean, are any of these things a shocker? The most shocking and galling thing is that this guy, this author, Michael Wolff, was hanging out on the couch in the White House for all this time.
Whoever thought it could be a negative tell-all?
Wow. How could it possibly be with this finely tuned machine with a collection of the greatest minds ever to inhabit the earth?
You know why I believe this aspect is true? One might say, why would Trump ever? And Trump is now denying this man ever had access, although there's many reports he was all over the White House. He had unfettered access.
He went in the front door, man.
And although Trump denies now, let's not forget, this is not even the first Trump tell-all. Trump revealed I got last Christmas. I haven't even got to the final page. I've still got it, like 3/4 read. I'm keeping my fingers crossed at the end the villain dies or something bad happens. You know what I mean? I don't want to wreck the ending because we don't know what the ending of this presidency may be. But Dom, it seems very plausible to me that Donald Trump would be okay with another tell-all book, because this was not even the first or only tell-all book that was written about Donald Trump since he has been a candidate or eventually the president of the United States. And he didn't sue the last guy, and the last guy accused him of being a racist, I mean, the authors of Trump Revealed talk about how Donald Trump discriminated, federal suit against discrimination by the Trump enterprises against black people. They called them colored. They wrote C's on their application. Finally, years later, they settled a federal lawsuit. He's got other examples in the book, Trump Revealed, where Trump says he doesn't want black people counting his money. He only wants Jews counting the money. I mean, he is accused of much worse than being a narcissist in the book that he's all right with, Trump Revealed.
So it makes perfect sense that he would allow this, or at least not forbid it to happen.
Here's one last thought, quickly. What did Steve Bannon say? We talked about this earlier in the week regarding the Trump meeting the meeting in Trump Tower, which was Paul Manafort, Jared Kushner, and Don Jr. that we know of. And possibly
a host of others, yes.
The Russians were walked up a flight of stairs and introduced to the boss, Don Sr. upstairs. But setting aside the speculation, what was said by Bannon? Bannon said unpatriotic, treasonous. At minimum, these guys get this invitation. They should have called the FBI. Well, is it possible someone within the Trump camp, in fact, did call the FBI, has been an inside source the whole time? Is there a deep throat in the Trump organization?
Maybe the deep throat was Bannon. What did Bannon say when Trump fired Comey? The biggest political mistake ever in the history of man. I'm paraphrasing. But that's what he said. He wasn't proud of it. He wasn't happy about it, apparently. And he's the one that comes out and says that this is treasonous. He's the one that's come out and gave lots of this information to the author of this book. Maybe Deep Throat's Bannon.
I think Deep Throat might be Trump. He just doesn't realize he's the lead. Come back with us. More Devil's Advocates. 844-967-2789.
It's not about me. But there's been no collusion, no obstruction, and virtually everybody agrees to that.
You keep using that word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
Do you own a rental property, or would you like to partner with a rental investment team? Call the pros you can trust at CCL Management. Rental expertise second to none, a general contractor on staff to direct repairs and improvements, and real estate brokerage services tailored to the small investor. If you're ready to invest in rental property, or just need professionals to manage your real estate portfolio, call us, CCL Management, at 608-833-0009, or visit us on the web at cclmanagement.com.
If you're like a lot of companies, you know you need IT, but you aren't sure where to start. That's where Five Nines comes in. Hi, I'm Todd Stryker, President and CEO. For almost 15 years, Five Nines has been providing IT solutions to companies just like yours. We'll show you the solutions that are right for your business and give you the roadmap to success in the future. Find us at fivenines.com. That's the number 5, NINES.com.
I'm Andy Buck, and I'm proud to be union.
Tell me about the underground economy.
Well, the underground economy is essentially workers being exploited, and they're being exploited all over the state. They're working for no benefits, no retirement, and if you don't join your brothers and sisters, you don't respect your craft.
Andy, why should I hire union?
Crudy, you should hire union because you want the job done right the first time. We represent the highest skilled, safety-trained workers in the industries that we represent. Glazers, painters, and drywall finishers. Join us. Painters and Allied Trades, District Council 7.
Join the Resistance, WRRD, Resistance Radio. Tune in Monday through Friday beginning at 7 a.m. The Earl Ingram Show starts your day from 7 to 9. Then join Brian and Daryl for 414 Wisconsin from 9 to 11. You can hear the Tom Hartman program from 11 to 2. Then from 2 to 5, it's the Devil's Advocates with Dom and Crute. Tune in to 1510 a.m. throughout the day. WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
Make a resolution, Milwaukee, to eat your fruits and vegetables. Go to the new Pete's Fruit Market on Martin Luther King and North Ave. Find the freshest fruit, always the perfect peach. Pete's Fruit Market is a brand new, modern, full-service grocery with an in-store butcher shop. Go see the manager, Vidal, for daily specials at the new Pete's Fruit Market on North Ave and MLK. Tell them that the Devil's Advocate sent you.
When you need an attorney, trust the voice of experience. The only choice, Lawton and Cates.
I needed an attorney because I was injured at work. I wanted to find a reputable attorney. The results that I got with Lawton and Cates were very good. I'm very happy with the way I was treated and the end result that I got.
Trust the voice of experience. Call the attorneys at Lawton and Cates. 282-6200. 282-6200.
I'm more resourceful than I thought.
My suit can still make an impression.
My video games are still game changers.
And my lamp can bring others a bright future.
Because when I donate my stuff to Goodwill,
it helps fund job placement and training for people right in my community.
Now my stuff gets a second chance.
And will give someone in my community
a second chance too.
Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. That's goodwill.org. This message brought to you by Goodwill and the Ad Council.
I'm probably okay to have one more drink before I drive home. I'm probably okay. I open the window to stay alert. Probably okay. I just popped some gum in my mouth.
Step out of the car, please.
I probably made a mistake.
Probably okay isn't okay when it comes to drinking and driving. If you see a warning sign, stop and call a cab, a car, or a friend. Buzzed driving is drunk driving. A message brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Bring it? Oh, it's already been brought in. Dom and Krutz are the Devil's Advocates.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show live on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, 1510 a.m. WRRD phone lines are open. Festivus Fridays. We air grievances at 844-967-2789.
Dominic, we are turning to the Mueller investigation next, but quickly. Fire and Fury inside the Trump White House is already a massive hit that has rocketed to #1 on the Amazon bestseller list. Author Michael Wolff on Friday personally thanked President Donald Trump for helping sales of the book with his desperate last-minute attempt to legally intimidate publisher Henry Holt and Company from releasing it by sending them a cease and desist letter. According to Wolff, Trump's attempt to block sales of the book only raised its public profile and guaranteed the massive sales it's now experiencing, and to add insult to injury. And that's my intent here, Dom. Even Breitbart News, whose chairman, Steve Bannon, is quoted throughout the book making disparaging remarks about Trump and his family, has published a story that mocks Trump for attempting to kill the book before it even went on sale in an article with the headline, "Trump Book Ban Fails as Fire and Fury Sales Soar." Breitbart editor Joel Pollack writes that Wolff's book flew off the bookshelves early Friday morning despite efforts by President Donald Trump's legal team to stop the publication and distribution of the book. And it didn't stop there. He writes on, late Thursday night, lines formed in Washington, D.C. bookstores as curious patrons, journalists looking for reportable tidbits, rushed to see what the president did not want them to read, writes Pollack, who then quoted an editor at The Hill who called out Trump's strange attempt to block the book's publication.
Strange indeed, but extremely careless and unconstitutional. And this is coming from the President of the United States. It's beyond a joke. It's scary, certainly in some regards, and yes, laughably funny in other regards. But what does this say about the state of our union when the president is trying to threaten someone with litigation for writing a book prior to its release?
I tell you what, Dom, you go to the bookstore later, you find a copy of this book for me, and I'll hang out with your wife.
Let's get to Reverend Dean, see what he thinks about that, Crudy. On the phone, 844-967-2789. You can join us. Apparently, you don't got to get the book. You can get the Audible version of it. Hey, Reverend Dean, welcome back. What do you got for us today?
Well, that's what I was calling to say. You guys are worried about where it is. I downloaded it from Audible about 4 hours ago, and you can get it right away. And I just wanted to throw out my love to you guys because on chapter 2 I stopped to listen to the show.
Oh, well done, sir. Right to do
so. The rest of your listeners who are for this book, just go to Audible.
Reverend Dean, can you?
And
give us any tidbits from chapter 1?
Oh, there's just so many. A lot of them, the best points are out there. The introduction and prologue are very interesting because he's saying, he's trying to make sure that people know that, he didn't have an end to go to, and just that kind of stuff. But kind of validating his point and saying, it's the best of my knowledge. Those that I've heard say, I can't guarantee, but the ones that I've experienced, are true.
Reverend Dean, I saw a friendly activist out on the interwebs last night, Facebook, I think, saying, if you buy that damn book, you better give an equal amount of money to some good progressive cause. I was thinking the People for People Corporation. But Reverend Dean, did you state that this copy that you have was for freezies?
Well, no. What you do is online it's like $20 to $25. But if you join Audible for $14.95, you get one credit, and you can buy it with that one book, and then cancel your account.
Man, you got the life hacks for us, Reverend Dean. I hope everyone was paying attention to that.
Yeah.
Now,
Audible told me.
Do you intend to make a weekend, sort of curl up in the tub and listen to some Trump trash all weekend, Reverend Dean?
I'm not sure I'm sleeping tonight. It's an 11-hour read or listen to, so I'm not sure how much sleep I'm going to get.
Reverend, by the time you get done with it, you may never sleep again.
That is true.
How do you think the president will digest this book? Do you think they'll have to give him the Cliff Notes version, read him little excerpts, or do you think they'll just bring it in and burn it in the fireplace in front of him?
Yeah, exactly. I don't think they'll let him near this, right? They always try to block bad press and everything. They'll just tell him, it's awful, we'll sue him or whatever, blah, blah, blah. I'm sure he won't read a page of this book. His ego can't handle that. Just can't handle it.
Reverend Dean, appreciate the call. Any other thoughts before the big weekend? Any other grievances, perhaps, sir?
No, I'm actually pretty happy with my book, and I'm glad I stopped to listen to you guys.
We are as well. We know at least one listener.
Thank you, Reverend Dean. Always great to hear from you, my friend. We do have actually some legal implications from this book as well. It's not just about the salacious details and the incompetence and the ass-kissing that goes on around that White House. We're going to run out of time, though. Jennifer Rubin, though, why Trump and Sessions are now in a heap of legal trouble. I'm going to read just one bullet point here because, of course, we've got to bring it back home to Wisco. Special Counsel Robert Mueller has evidence, including a memo from Wisconsin's own former Chief of Staff Reince Priebus, confirming at least some of the allegations that former FBI Director Comey made and documented in a contemporaneous memos. And for instance, Priebus documents President Trump's attempt to get Comey to publicly clear him, something Comey recounted at the time. I wonder what else Reince has notes of.
Maybe he's the deep throat. Got out early, didn't he? Folks, we are the Devil's Advocates. We never leave early. We always work late. We got Batman coming next. Matt Rothschild, Executive Director, Wisconsin Democracy Campaign. He's going to call out, what's he call it? The hypocrite extraordinaire. Of course, we're talking about the Wankinator. Come back with us. The Happy Hour on Brady Street. It starts right now. More Devil's Advocates after this short break.
I went to better schools than they did. I was a better student than they were.
I know words. I have the best words. There's no better word than stupid.
We are the People for People Corporation. We are a registered 501c3, totally legit. What do? We take your uncapped, dark money, tax-deductible donations, private or corporate, always anonymous, and we turn it into free speech. Educate Wisconsin through advertising, which may or may not be in coordination with the candidate. Isn't that illegal? It should be, but it's not under Wisconsin law, thanks Governor Scott Walker. Politicians in Wisconsin are beholden to the millionaire and billionaire sugar daddy and sugar mamas that finance their campaigns. Time to make them beholden to We the People for People Corporation. Give your tax-deductible donation to the real patriots, the People for People Corporation, P for ppc.org, P, the number 4, ppc.org.
Hi, this is Brad Saug, owner of Zero Res Madison Carpet Cleaning. Zero Res is the best new technology in carpet cleaning. We have a patented process using empowered water, a high-tech process in which we force the water to act like soap. It doesn't want to stay in that state. It's jacked up and it's angry and it wants to hit the dirt and then it neutralizes. When we're done, all that's left in your carpet is just light moisture. In the end, you get the cleanest, greenest, healthiest carpet cleaning available. Call us at 848-9000. Zero Res. Spell it backward or forward. It's the right way to clean.
The Resistance is live 7 days a week here on 1510 AM WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. Tune in Saturdays for Busted Pencils, fully leaded education talk with Dr. Tim Slecker, 11 a.m. to noon. Then it's the voice of the voiceless, champion of the working class. Earl Ingram's Saturday show is live from 12 to 3 p.m. Then Right Meets Left with the Joel and Joe Costa Show. Republican State Rep Joel Clayfish and Democratic State Rep Joe Costa Zamaripa go toe-to-toe from 3 to 4. Always streaming at newstalk1510am.com, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. You are listening to Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, WRRD, 1510 AM, Waukesha, Milwaukee.
The Call of Freedom, Wall Street's Wonderful Week. I'm Michael Toscano. U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations Nikki Haley warning Iran this afternoon that no government can legitimately deny human rights, adding the regime is now on notice. Haley at a U.S.-requested emergency session of the Security Council over widespread citizen protests against Iran's government.
I call on all of my colleagues to join me in amplifying the message of the Iranian people. And I call on the government of Iran to stop censoring the voice of the people and to restore the access to the internet.
Amazon's already out of copies of Fire and Fury, the sensational new book describing a childlike and incompetent President Trump surrounded by chaos. It topped online sales today in early release because of all the attention it's received. Author Michael Wolff spent much of last year at the White House telling NBC's Today Show this about the president.
I will quote Steve Bannon. He's lost it.
But former press secretary Sean Spicer is attacking Wolff's credibility.
Michael Wolff, who has a history of fabricating stuff, who is a very questionable past, and a lot of reporters are now kind of digging into this and saying, you know, we've got to question his sourcing here. He admits that he never brought any note. He took notes. He didn't bring a recorder to the thing.
The FBI is once again investigating allegations of corruption related to the Clinton Foundation, specifically if donors were promised favors when Hillary Clinton was Secretary of State, as President Trump charges. The foundation says previous investigations have proved the charges false. On Wall Street, the closing bell ringing in a great start to 2018 with stocks closing at all-time record highs, and Kate's watching the numbers flash on the big boards.
The Dow Jones Industrial Average soared 221 points to close just below 25,300. The blue chip index rose 1.5% over the week. The S&P 500 has hit another record high for the fourth straight session, climbing 19 points, and the Nasdaq jumped 59 points, with both indexes posting their biggest weekly gains.
I'm Michael Toscano.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't sat in your lap in months. And even more stuff, but still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed, and they're the stuff inside your stuff. Even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs, and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover guitar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Reports coming into us this afternoon that John Gruden is about to be named the new head coach of the Oakland Raiders. John Stolnis checking it out for us.
This will be Gruden's second go-around with the Raiders. His first head coaching job was with them from 1998 to 2001, making the playoffs in the final 3 of his 5 seasons there. He then took over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and led the team to their one and only Super Bowl victory by beating his former team, the Raiders, in Super Bowl 37. In 2009, Gruden was hired by ESPN as the lead color analyst for Monday Night Football. ESPN reports Gruden's contract will likely be for 10 years and close to $100 million, making it the richest in NFL history. The team has not confirmed the hire yet. Gruden will be on the air calling the Chiefs-Titans wildcard game this Saturday. I'm John Stolnis.
That game at 3:35 Eastern Time tomorrow from Arrowhead Stadium. I'm Michael Toscano.
What do current WRRD sponsors, guys like Lenny Mattioli, Crazy TV Lenny, now Crazy E-Bike Lenny, have to say about advertising with Wisconsin's only Resistance Radio? WRRD 1510 AM, would you call us a great radio advertising source or the greatest radio advertising source ever, sir?
Okay, first of all, my emotional answer is the greatest.
Yes.
Now a realistic businessman answer, okay? I would say equal to or better than any talk show style radio station that I've ever advertised on. The return on invested advertising dollar is as good on your station as I've ever seen. Right now, it's the best.
Be like Lenny. Advertise with News Talk 1510 AM. Call me, 414-635-0872, or email me, crute@newstalk1510am.com.
Good afternoon. It is 4:05 for 1510 AM, WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. My name is Brian Kelly. The city of Milwaukee has reportedly reached an agreement with American Sewer Services to terminate 2 of their 11 contracts with the city. This agreement stems from 2 separate incidents where one of their employees were seen brandishing a gun on the job and the other had a KKK and Confederates flag sticker on his cooler. The 2 employees have been fired and the contracts total nearly $800,000. In a debate over the contracts, Alderman Nick Kovach was quoted in Urban Milwaukee as saying, "Given the amount of facts we have now, it appears that racism was tolerated at the company." This prompted a debate over racism during which Alderman Bob Donovan left saying, quote, "I'm now in the position of having to defend myself that I'm not racist because of the actions set my way." It is currently 10 degrees in Milwaukee and 6 in Waukesha for 1510 AM. My name is Brian Kelly.
The following program is a presentation of DC Communications, LLC. Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening.
3, 2, 1.
Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Dominic, we're sneaking and sliding into the 4 o'clock happy hour, and we got a good friend who's joining us right now. It's Batman, Matt Rothschild, the executive director of the Wisconsin Democracy Campaign. Matt, always a welcome guest. Welcome back.
Hey, Crudy and Dom, Happy New Year.
Hey, Happy New Year, Matt.
Matt, I got to tell you, your article, your press release caught my attention. You called the governor of the state of Wisconsin hypocrite extraordinaire. Well, that could cover a multitude of topics, Matt. What for makes the gubernator a hypocrite extraordinaire this week?
Because he's been complaining about being such a poor little rich guy.
I mean, he's worried that he's going to get outraised. He has a nightmare that he's going to be finally outspent in an election race when he's been outspending his opponents, and his outside groups have been outspending the outside groups of his opponents almost every time he ran by huge margins, 3-1 or 2-1. So, like every abnormal human being on New Year's Eve, there was Scott Walker on Twitter worrying about his political career rather than having a mimosa or black-eyed peas or shrimp or a pickled herring or watching the pregame football shows. He's tweeting about, oh, my God, I'm worried about being outraised. Here's what he said exactly. In 2017, the Democrat candidate for governor in VA and his allies outspent the Republican candidate and his allies by about $30 million. We can't let that happen in Wisconsin. Of course, Walker, you know, he likes having a $30 million advantage. That's what he had in 2012. So, you know, this is just a guy worried about his political future so much that he's tweeting about it on New Year's Eve.
Come on, Matt. You know it was ham and cheese on white, a Miller Lite, and missionary.
Oh, you might be right through the three.
Yeah, I think it was rye.
Matt, so here's the more important question, perhaps. What the hell is this man talking about? Is there any plausible circumstance under which Governor Scott Walker could get outspent in this election? We've seen the guy have something north of $145 million when you start combining his races, his failed presidential campaign. Matt, what the hell is the guy talking about? There's no way there's not going to be more money on his side than whoever, you know, ekes their way out of the Democratic field.
Yeah, I think Walker's going to have more money than God. I think he's going to have a huge advantage. You know, he's been a loyal servant of the Koch brothers and a dutiful water boy for Wisconsin Manufacturers and Commerce. Those people are going to deliver for him. And so he'll have a ton of money. But money alone may not save him this time, because I think Foxconn might take him down or Trump might take him down. But look, in almost every race he's run, he's had a huge advantage, both in direct contributions and in spending by outside groups. And in fact, you know, he's the guy, he and Voss and Fitzgerald are the guys who, you know, changed the election laws to make it easier for rich people and outside groups to contribute. So,
well, Matt, not to take you too far afield, but Tammy Baldwin, a piece in the Huffington Post earlier today, Tammy Baldwin's already seen something north of $5 million spent against her, primarily through dark money spending. Matt, this is not a campaign year. 2017 was not. She had $5 million spent against her in an off year. Clearly, the Republicans have a plan. They're going to define her as a candidate before she starts spending significantly and defining herself. Well, Matt, it's not just about the dollars. It's also about the data, right? Scott Walker's data, perhaps the same data given to the Russians through the Trump campaign. And it's about the ground game. Scott Walker will benefit whoever Tammy Baldwin's opponent is, because he has created this infrastructure of minions. He's already got a ground game in place, does he not?
He does, and you know, and he turns his people out, and he's got this machine to do it. But the question is, are people in Wisconsin getting tired of Walker, even those some of whom voted for him? Are people disgusted, who aren't in Racine and Kenosha County anyway, by this Foxconn $3 billion, $4 billion giveaway? Everywhere I go, people are disgusted by it. And so I think that's going to hurt him. And, you know, he's been clinging to Donald Trump, and he may drown with Trump. So those are the problems he's facing right now. And Tammy, you know, Tammy Baldwin is a fighter. People underestimated her. They were sure Tommy Thompson was going to beat her. They didn't know why. In her right mind, she was running against Tommy the Invincible, and she crushed him. I mean, she's a super nice person. She's a great senator. But, you know, she will go for the jugular. That's what she did against Tommy, and she'll do that against whichever Republican opponent she's got. But, yeah, there's outside money already, more than $3 million being thrown at Tammy Baldwin, more than the combined total that's been thrown at the other Democratic senators who are in tough races this year. So the national right-wing conspiracy that Hillary used to call it is collecting money and tossing it all at Tammy Baldwin, and we'll have to see how she responds.
You're listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, 1510 AM WRRD. We're speaking with our pal, Matt Rothschild. He's the executive director of Wisconsin Democracy Campaign. Go ahead, Mike.
One quick point of note, show note, Tammy Baldwin will join us on the Devil's Advocates radio show next Wednesday, 2:30 p.m. Seems like, Matt, part of the...
Hey, that's a good get, you know. Give your producer a raise.
Hey, I'm the booker around here. But I suspect that might be Baldwin's team. They reached out to us for a change, Matt.
Well, you know, I was always saying, Russ Feingold needs to do that more. Because, you guys had Ron Johnson wanted to be on your show more than Russ Feingold did. And that always struck me as bizarre. And it's a good sign that Tammy Baldwin recognizes the need to get out and early on your show, and I imagine on other shows.
Well, and this election is going to be fraught with outside money. Wisconsin Democracy Campaign. Let me ask you, Matt, the circumstances we find ourselves in, the Republicans going against right now Vukmir and Nicholson. Vukmir just recently hired some former staffers from American for Prosperity, of course, Koch brothers money. Right there. Matt, since you've been watching the money in
Let's not forget that's Luke Hilgeman. That's the United Sportsman's guy, too.
The $500,000 that had to get Wisconsin had to get back. But I digress. Matt, from the time that you've been watching these campaigns and the money in the campaigns, it seems very blatant to me when you're hiring, the specific people from Americans for Prosperity, and we know that is a Koch brothers organization. Has it always been this blatant, Matt?
It really is. I mean, Vukmir is the candidate of the Koch brothers. I mean, you can't get much more blatant than that. It's funny, this Republican race, though. I mean, Nicholson's getting a ton of money from Richard Eline, another one of the huge donors in Republican Party circles, especially here in Wisconsin. And also Steve Bannon seems to be behind Nicholson, too. So there's a split among the big boys as to which Republican they want to back. So that'll be interesting to see. And even though these two Republican candidates have vowed a non-aggression pact, I imagine it's going to get ugly.
Any predictions on money spent this election cycle for the gubernatorial and for the Senate races, Matt? What do you
I think they're going to break all sorts of records. All sorts, more than $100 million in the governor's race, and Lord knows in the Senate race.
Matt, let's talk about the Democrats running against Scott Walker. Right now, it's kind of the quiet before the storm, and the storm, as I perceive it, is when their FEC filing statements come through. Matt, we're going to find out who the quote-unquote viable candidates are, I would say predicated on who's got money to spend on advertising, and I would encourage all of them to consider the value that is radio advertising. But, Matt, sadly, for a watchdog guy like yourself, the next step in viability is who raised the most money for Dems, right?
Well, it will be one litmus test for these candidates, and especially for the mainstream candidates who rely on that campaign money for oxygen. I think Mike McCabe, who used to have my job here at the Wisconsin Democracy Campaign, is running a different kind of campaign, and the amount of money isn't going to be as pivotal for him, but he's been trying to rely on small donors, and if he doesn't come up with a bunch of small donors, that won't look good for him either. I think some of these candidates will keep on going. They can just go right around in their car across the state and not spend a ton of money and still get into the debates and get their names in the paper, but money is going to be important. That's why people are always hustling for it. And I also think ground game's important, but ground game costs money too. I do think there's a tremendous amount of energy on the progressive side here to try to get Walker out, and I think there'll be a rallying behind whichever candidate emerges from the primary, even though there's going to be only about 7-8 weeks to go after that before the November election with Walker. And I think, the anti-Trump feeling and the anti-Walker feeling in the Foxconn deal may be enough to get Walker out the door.
Matt, we hear all the time it's not enough just to be against Scott Walker, but when you got 12, 15, maybe 20 eventual candidates for governor, it's hard to look to any of them as a spokesperson for the Democratic Party or a voice. Matt, without a clear-cut candidate, without even a front runner at this point, who speaks for the Democratic Party?
Well, I don't think anyone can be said to speak for the Democratic Party. I think Tony Evers probably has the inside lane. He's gotten the endorsement from Herb Kohl and from Barbara Lawton, and some of the mainstream of the Democratic Party seems to be behind Tony Evers because he's won statewide elections before. Paul Saugen's going to throw his hat in the ring here from Madison. Dana Wachs, the attorney and state assemblyman up from Eau Claire, is a viable candidate. Kathleen Vineout has got some appeal at the grassroots, too. There are a lot of candidates out. Mahlon Mitchell's got a lot of appeal also. So I think those are some of the candidates who are kind of in the top tier, just by my guess, and we'll just see how it shakes out.
Well, if you're going to name a few, Matt, please name all of the candidates.
You don't have time for that.
Matt, I want to ask you a question here regarding the piece you wrote, Scott Walker, hypocrite extraordinaire, and he's tweeting out at 11 a.m. on New Year's Eve. What do you think the motivation is? I mean, certainly looking back at his elections, he can't look at any trend and say, wow, that was a close one. They almost raised as much money as I did. What do you think the motivation, the purpose of that message was from the governor?
It's just, give me money. Give me more money. I want money as much as you can give me. I mean, I think he's getting paranoid. I think he's getting worried. Otherwise, why would he do that on New Year's Eve? It's a ridiculous thing to tweet on New Year's Eve. How about Happy New Year?
Hey, Matt, I got one last question for you. We know that the roads here in the state of Wisconsin ain't doing so good. I think James Rowan has picked up the moniker for Walker, calling him Governor Pothole. But this Foxconn trying to tie the two topics together, Foxconn's going to get the diversion of like $134 million in state road resources that we cannot fix now for new roads, not new state roads, but new roads for Foxconn. In my understanding, the very first groundbreaking was today, and a notable absentee was Governor Scott Walker. He wasn't at the groundbreaking today, man.
Really?
Yeah, he knows that Foxconn is not working in his favor. The polls are against him on Foxconn. He didn't mention Foxconn when he announced his reelection drive, and he wasn't there today for the groundbreaking. He knows this is going to be a problem for him. And yeah, you've got the pitch down that could be effective against Walker. Look, they're spending all this money for roads for Foxconn, designated roads for Foxconn, and your road to work in the morning or your road to your friend's house at night is treacherous because of the potholes there. So I think it's a real problem for Walker.
Matt, I teased Martha Lanning earlier today. She was on our show. I said, let's talk politics. Let's start with this topic. Foxconn sucks. The labor guys, the union guys, and we got some friends in labor, some of those guys have to want that work, though, Matt. I mean, if they're building a $9 billion facility, there's a lot of labor that's going to be needed. And I cannot blame the unions for wanting to get a piece of that action. But, Matt, here's the quandary. If we, as Democrats, quote unquote, take the tack that Foxconn sucks, we're going to use this as an electoral wedge issue. Do we somehow have to worry about losing some of our brothers in labor and sisters?
Well, I don't think so. I think we can tell labor, look, this governor, has been an opponent of labor since day one. We warned you about him, that he was going to destroy not only public sector unions, but private sector unions, and he did so. And we can use this $3 billion to give you better jobs than the ones he's going to create here.
Matt, I like how you turn a phrase, my friend. Thank you so much for joining us. Our friend Batman, Matt Rothschild, Executive Director of the Wisconsin Democracy Campaign. We appreciate what you do, sir.
Thanks a lot. Have a nice weekend.
Yeah, you too, man. Thank you.
Folks, we are the Devil's Advocates. Friday, we air grievances. One of them is we don't do enough to promote the fine weekend products right here on WRRD. We're going 7 days a week of live programming, and one of the fine weekend hosts, Dr. Tim Slecker. He is the Dean of Education at Edgewood College. He's going to join us soon. More Devil's Advocates next.
They'd like to take me out for a lot of reasons far bigger than just this election.
Oh, they drove a dump truck full of money up to my house. I'm not made of stone.
Wanker. Have you outgrown your house? Are you sick of apartment living? Not ready to buy but know you need to move? Hi folks, this is Tom Hartman for CCL Management in Middleton. You should consider moving up to one of the finer rental homes CCL Management represents. Unique houses and condos, always clean, most are pet friendly. Visit cclmanagement.com today to find your new home. CCL Management, Dane County's premier leasing and property management company.
Call CCL Management at 833-0009. That's 833-0009 or visit cclmanagement.com today.
Have a drink at Regano's Roman Coin. This neighborhood corner tavern is as classic as the street it occupies. Family owned and operated since 1966, Regano's Roman Coin is located in the former Pabst Tide House on historic Brady Street, serving an array of craft beers with a focus on Wisconsin breweries. Also, weekly drink specials, trivia on Wednesdays, seasonal sporting events, parties hosted for all occasions, and pet friendly. Open 11 a.m. Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. Saturday and Sunday, closed on Monday. Regano's Roman Coin, Milwaukee's pet friendly, cash only order and classic corner tavern.
Hi, I'm Crudy. I'm here with Bill Carroll, president of Teamsters Local 344. Bill, why are you union? Teamster strong.
Well, Crudy, our strength comes from our membership. The Teamsters are North America's strongest labor union with 1.4 million members.
Bill, what does the Teamsters do for the next generation?
The same thing that the Teamsters have done for the last 100 years. Assisting groups of workers in negotiating improvements in their wages, hours, and working conditions.
Where do people go if they want to know more about the Teamsters, more about joining the union?
There's 3 easy options. They can call Local 344 at 414-258-4545. They can contact us through our website. That's local344.org. Local, the number is 344.org. Or they can contact us through the Local 344 Facebook page.
Be union strong. Join Teamsters 344. Be like Crudy. Be like News Talk 1510 AM. Stand with the unions. Join the Teamsters. Local344.org. Make a resolution, Milwaukee, to eat your fruits and vegetables. Go to the new Pete's Fruit Market on Martin Luther King and North Ave. Find the freshest fruit, always the perfect peach. Pete's Fruit Market is a brand new, modern, full-service grocery with an in-store butcher shop. Go see the manager, Vidal, for daily specials at the new Pete's Fruit Market on North Ave in MLK. Tell them that the Devil's Advocate sent you.
When you need an attorney, trust the voice of experience. The only choice, Lawton and Cade.
Farming is one of the most difficult and dangerous jobs in America. It's a fact of farming life that when the equipment breaks down, the farmer is the one doing the fixing. One of our challenging cases involved a Dodge County farmer who was left paralyzed while repairing a farm wagon that had a defective design. The jury found the manufacturer negligent and awarded our client damages, including pain, suffering, disability, and a significant amount in loss of society and companionship to his spouse. If your life is disrupted by injury or other legal dispute, Lawton and Cates can help you achieve a successful result. Trust the voice of experience. Call the attorneys at Lawton and Cates, 282-6200.
When you need an attorney, trust the voice of experience. The only choice, Lawton and Cates.
It's a lot easier to measure how many times students use a semicolon correctly in an essay.
Educated educators talking education.
Than it is to measure how many wonderful ideas are in that essay.
Busted Pencils.
There is no teacher shortage.
With Dr. Tim Slecker.
There is a teacher exit.
Featuring Matt Damon's mom.
You want to know what my mom would say?
We've had an intrusion into education.
Busted Pencils Radio. Saturdays at 11 on Resistance Radio.
When they go low, we get high. Dom and Krutz are the Devil's Advocates.
And we are back from the 420 break. Thank you so much for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show right here on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, 1510 AM WRRD. You can join us on the phones, 844-967-2789.
Dominic, we're going to have our friend Dr. Tim Slecker. He is the Dean of Education at the Edgewood College in Madison. He's also the host of a fine Saturday morning program, 11 to noon, right here on WRRD 1510 AM. It's called Busted Pencils. But Dom, our friends over at WisPolitics, they issue these Friday reports, and I've got mine in front of me, and they talk about the rising, who's rising and who's falling.
All right.
Well, there are a few rising. Apparently, Frank Lassay and Keith Ripp are doing better by leaving their current legislative jobs.
Well, they're going to get paid better.
At least until Scott Walker leaves office and they get left high and dry. But amongst the falling, here's an interesting note. Teachers' unions. The decline of public employee unions in Wisconsin has been well documented since the passage of Act 10 in 2011. Here's one more nugget. Less than half of the state's more than 400 school districts have a certified union. Less than half. The decline represents a struggle public employee unions have had since Governor Scott Walker pushed through their plan to dramatically scale back their powers to collectively bargain. Because the bar was so high to certify and the benefits so low, some figured it wasn't worth the effort. Act 10 requires public employee unions to hold certification votes annually. What's more, to be certified, 51% of members, not just those casting ballots, have to vote yes. I'd like to see Scott Walker win an election of that sort.
Yeah, right?
That means anyone who doesn't vote counts as a no.
So is anybody who doesn't vote in the gubernatorial election with Scott Walker, does that mean it's a no for Walker?
I would like to think so. Come back with us. More Devil's Advocates. Our good friend, Busted Pencils host, Dr. Tim Slecker, Dean of Edgewood College of Education, is next.
Good people don't smoke marijuana.
It'd be a lot cooler if you did.
I was on Zero Res Madison's Facebook page the other day, and they have almost 2,000 testimonials from local customers. Apparently, I am not the only one stoked on how cool this company is. A green technology that actually works better and doesn't cost more. It's a no-brainer. I'm in. We are starting our own Devil's Advocates revolution to free your carpets from harsh chemicals and soaps. Call Zero Res today and ask for the Diamond Crude Special 608-848-9000 or schedule online at ZeroResMadison.com. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward, it's the right way to clean.
Live via phone, he is former U.S. Attorney Jim Santel.
Firing Bob Mueller doesn't mean that the prosecution, the investigation goes away. Pardoning one individual does not mean that you undo everything that has been done before. So this notion that somehow by shutting down and by pardoning and by sort of stopping the process, you're also stopping the wheels of justice is simply, again, it's simply wrong.
The Devil's Advocates, weekday afternoons on 1510 AM, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. You are listening to Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, WRRD, 1510 AM, Milwaukee, Waukesha. There is not a gun to my head right now.
When Wisconsin Republican Brad Schimmel,
I don't have a lot of expertise,
decided to run for Wisconsin Attorney General,
I don't even know my own website address.
Even some conservatives questioned his ability.
You can always say no to a request for an interview, and I kind of wish Mr. Schimmel had said no. I don't think he was ready for that.
Schimmel claims to be all about law and order.
You start with the default position that, yes, you will enforce the laws.
Apparently, even if that means enforcing a 1960s-style ban on interracial marriage.
It might be distasteful to me, but I've got to stay consistent with that as the state's lawyer. It's not my job to pick and choose.
Wisconsin deserves a competent attorney general.
We got to go.
Yes, Brad Schimmel, you do gotta go. This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org.
Me, a cat, moving in with a new human. It took a little getting used to. She has these weird games she likes to play, like this giant feather. She sticks it in my face. I swat it away. She sticks it in my face. I swat it away. It's almost like she thinks I enjoy it. But seeing how much fun she gets out of it, well, I guess it makes it all worth it. Humans.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
It only takes a minute to find out if you may have prediabetes, and you can do it at doihaveprediabetes.org. But you're probably not going to, are you? Kids, work, listening to the radio. You're busy, which is great because busy people can't get prediabetes. Oh my, I read that wrong. They can. Should have worn my glasses. So visit doihaveprediabetes.org and take a short test, because prediabetes can be reversed.
Brought to you by the Ad Council and its pre-diabetes awareness partners.
Good afternoon. It is 4:32 for 1510 a.m. WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. My name is Brian Kelly. Governor Walker announced a plan yesterday to close down Wisconsin's teen prison and open 5 regional detention centers. The governor's plan will turn the Lincoln Hills School for Boys into an adult facility and open 5 smaller facilities, including 3 in southeastern Wisconsin. Lincoln Hills is located about 30 miles north of Wausau, causing families to drive 4 to 5 hours from Milwaukee or Racine to visit members who are locked up there. Democrats who were mostly supportive of the governor's announcement, but some mention that his change in position on Lincoln Hills is an election year ploy to deflect an issue that could be used against him. Tonight mostly clear, lows around -5. It's currently 10 degrees in Milwaukee and 6 in Waukesha for 1510 a.m. My name is Brian Kelly.
The Devil's Advocates. Political commentary from the back of the class.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. We are in the midst of the happy hour, and I'm happy to announce that we've got another fine guest. He is WRRD 1510's own Dr. Tim Slecker. He hosts Busted Pencils Saturdays, 11 to noon. You better tune him in. Tim, welcome back to the big show.
Hey, what's happening? Happy Friday.
Hey, happy Friday,
Thank
Tim.
God it's Friday, Tim.
No doubt.
Hey, buddy.
Well, here's the other thing. Thank God I'm out of Pittsburgh and away from my in-laws.
I thought you were, like my co-host, an atheist, Tim Slecker.
Well, I am that. It's been proven. It's been stated on Busted Pencils, and according to people in small-town Pennsylvania, if you're a professor and you have the title PhD by your name, you are an atheist.
Well, Tim, no matter how
it's
hard...
a well-known fact.
Tim, no matter how hard we try, we cannot escape our culture.
Right.
Buddy, before we look forward, I want to touch on a topic I found at WisPolitics just this afternoon. The falling enrollment in teachers' unions. Tim, we've seen about a 50% reduction in public sector union membership here in the state of Wisconsin. And when you look at the expenditures for a group like the WEAC, a PAC that they control, it went from $3.15 million down to $808,000 in the last presidential year. That's like a 75% reduction in their ability to control political spending. Tim, it seems like the governor's goal of undermining his political opponents, Democrats and people with college degrees, has been, fruitful.
Hey, Act 10 is it's a masterpiece when it comes to union killing. It has done for the public sector, and particularly teachers union, as you said, the amount of dues-paying members, the reduction, and therefore then the reduction in political spending. I mean, from a 30,000-foot view, trying to not look at it from an emotional side, I mean, it was a brilliant tactical mission to take away a lot of cash that could be used to put out really positive messages about what it is public schools and public teachers do. But we know the governor doesn't really care about public schools and public teachers and communities in which they exist. He just cares about winning and dismantling. So, look at it. Act 10 is a wonderful success at absolutely dismantling the union. More importantly, though, what you point out, its ability to actually advocate politically when it matters.
Tim, I got to ask you, Governor Scott Walker is going around the state bragging about the increases in educational spending, at least in this budget. How does that compare perceptually and in reality with prior budgets? I mean, Scott Walker has been no friend, at least when it comes to state aids to the local schools here in Wisconsin, right, Tim?
No, come on. I mean, okay, so he threw $200 back at you, but you're talking about, over the last 6 to 8 years, a reduction of around, let's say per student spending. You've essentially, he's cut out $1,000 per student, and now he's throwing back $200 as if this is, look at this is an all-time all-time high. Well, of course it's an all-time high. If you spend the following years cutting, any give back is, quote, an all-time high. So mince words, it's an election point. People need to understand that. The other thing that might be newsworthy that I just saw today is the effect of the voucher program that people are really starting to see, particularly with students who already were in private schools, and the amount of money that is being then redirected out of the public schools to keep those kids that were already in private schools to begin with, keep them in private schools. And now you've got a lot of schools that are sucking for some air because they're out of money due to the fact that kids that were already in private schools are now, taxpayers are being funded, or the taxpayers are being charged for those kids to go to private schools that they were already in.
But it seems, Tim, as if the governor is able to obscure what's really going on, and even conversations. I mean, school choice conversations here in the state of Wisconsin, especially in Milwaukee, they should be a constant conversation because we're diverting hundreds of millions, billions of dollars overall from the educational spending. But Tim, I got to tell you, I have not seen this issue brought up much, but my understanding, the statewide cap on voucher, on quote-unquote school choice, it's still going up every year, meaning we continue to divert larger and larger sums away from the public schools, but that's not in the paper anymore, Tim.
No, it's not in the paper. What is moving forward that is a positive, and I hope more and more people get behind this, and hopefully, I'm actually going to try to do this on a future Busted Pencil show, is get some of these people that are pushing this major, is to get on your tax bill, your real estate tax bill, an itemized breakdown that will show how much of your local taxes that you pay out in real estate taxes actually go to your local public school and how much of it goes to the school choice program. Because I think once a resident sees how much money actually gets diverted away from their public school, that changes everything. So right now there's a lot of ballot initiatives, there's movements for people to try to get this to have an itemized tax bill to say, here's how much is going to your school, here's how much is going to support people that already have their kids in private schools, and here you're footing the bill for that. That could be a big push in helping people understand, holy crap, vouchers do affect me.
Folks, you're listening to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Got a fine Saturday host from right here on WRRD 1510 AM, Busted Pencil's own Dr. Tim Slecker. He is the Dean of Education at Edgewood College. And Tim, I got to tell you, I've been very impressed with the show. I've enjoyed many of your recent interviews, especially the gubernatorial candidates trying to talk about their educational policies. Most recently, I thought it was Kathleen Weinhaut. I know you've had Tony Evers. Here's the quandary that Dom and I are having. I wonder how you're going to work it out. If you have one or you have two, you feel like you got to have them all. Tim, you could do like 20 consecutive weeks of gubernatorial candidates. By the time you get through with the field, the primary is going to be done, sir.
Right. Hey, again, I'll put it out there right now. There is an open invitation for anybody out there that's running for governor. That actually includes Scott Walker to come on Busted Pencils and be a guest, and let's talk education. I mean, yeah, sure, if it takes all the way down to the actual election, we'll do it, because we want these voices out there. I want to ask some hard questions. I don't want people, when it comes to education, which I think at the state level is probably one of the most important issues out there, you don't get a free ride. You don't get a pass. And so come on the show. If and if you're hiding, fine. Don't come on the show. We understand. Maybe that'll also help make, kind of shift the field, because those who don't want to come on Busted Pencils and share their education views, that right now tells me that there's something about the issue that maybe you don't really want to be governor.
Hey, Tim, I want to ask you a question. My senator, hey, buddy, Alberta Darling, who, of course, never comes on the show, although we've asked her several times, she's been tweeting this week, and she's sending an article around from the WashingtonExaminer.com talking about the Education Savings Account program, a bill that was created last month. I want to get your thought on this. Is this further erosion of the funding that would go to public schools? And this is specifically a bill for students who are very smart and gifted and talented. What's your take on this overall, Tim?
Well, okay, you just said Senator Alberta Darling is tweeting about it. If she's tweeting about something about education, you have to make the assumption it's not good for public education. There's not a senator out there who's probably one of the biggest antagonists towards public education. The whole idea that she's so excited about these new savings accounts that have actually, they were already in existence in one sense for anybody to put money away, tax deferred, for college tuition. It's now, though, that you can put money away, tax deferred, to send your kid to private school. This is just one more attempt from the Republicans to erode the public schools and to allow people with means to actually shield money from the public. Okay, in other words, the taxes that they should pay, shield that money, hide it, and then use it to their benefit. So it's a 1%er deal, no doubt. So go, Alberta, tweet away, tweet your 1%, but we understand that that's where you're coming from.
Tim, other than Matt Damon's mom, who are going to be your fine guests on tomorrow's show? Again, WRRD, 1510 a.m., 11 to noon on Saturday. Tim, who's on the big show tomorrow?
Check this out. We have Ethan Siegel, Forbes magazine, astrophysicist. He is amazingly smart. He understands that everything that comes out of a black hole actually has the ability to make up DNA. And why are we putting him on an education talk show? Because he absolutely believes that if we don't save public education, people like him and the job that he does studying the makeup of the universe is, it's in jeopardy. So got a great show, great interview there. Astrophysicist Ethan Siegel, you can check him out in Forbes, and you're going to be surprised at the way this guy lays out the attack on public education and then comes at us and says, here's what we need to do. If we want to keep looking at the depths of the universe, we need strong public schools.
Tim, I also, ironically, wanted to be an astrophysicist, but I have no sense of completion. I just became an ass.
Some of us, at least you're not an atheist who hates Christmas.
And Crudy, and true to form, be the best ass you can be.
Yeah.
I try to be the smartest ass I can be. I'm sorry, Tim, I'll give you the last word.
I was just going to say, and sometimes you're even a nice ass.
I do have a nice ass, Tim. Thanks for noticing.
Flat ass.
Dr. Tim Slecker, a fine educator, a fine radio host right here on WRRD 1510 a.m. Tune in, Busted Pencils, every Saturday, 11 to noon. Tim, thank you so much for what you do, and thanks for joining us here on the Devil's Advocates today.
All right, guys. Thanks, guys. Busting pencils, man. Later.
Thanks, Tim. Have a great weekend, buddy.
Folks, we are the Devil's Advocates. Phone lines open to you. Still time for your Friday grievances. One of mine. You got to turn this fine AM station off. FCC license requires. Should have good news on an FM at 101.7 soon. But until then, we'll follow the FCC rules. And you can go live to stream with us at newstalk1510am.com. Find us on Facebook. We're there now. Always streaming live. Come back. More Devil's Advocates, even if the FCC won't let us do it on the AM.
I went to better schools than they did. I was a better student than they were.
I went to an Ivy League school. I'm very highly educated.
I can handle things. I'm smart. Not like everybody says. Like dumb. I'm smart and I want respect.
Businesses today thrive and survive with technology. At Five Nines, we provide businesses with the IT tools they need to stay relevant. We offer enterprise-level solutions at competitive prices. I'm Todd Stryker, President and CEO of Five Nines. Let us manage your IT so you can focus on more important things, like running your business. Check us out at 5nines.com. That's the number 5, NINES.com.
Join the Resistance, WRRD, Resistance Radio. Tune in Monday through Friday beginning at 7 a.m. The Earl Ingram Show starts your day from 7 to 9. Then join Brian and Daryl for 414 Wisconsin from 9 to 11. You can hear the Tom Hartman program from 11 to 2. Then from 2 to 5, it's the Devil's Advocates with Dom and Crute. Tune in to 1510 a.m. throughout the day. WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
Do you own a rental property, or would you like to partner with a rental investment team? Call the pros you can trust at CCL Management. Rental expertise second to none, a general contractor on staff to direct repairs and improvements, and real estate brokerage services tailored to the small investor. If you're ready to invest in rental property or just need professionals to manage your real estate portfolio, call us, CCL Management, at 608-833-0009 or visit us on the web at cclmanagement.com.
Unexpected reactions to smart financial decisions brought to you by feedthepig.org.
Well, I finally did it. I improved my credit score.
You're kidding, right?
No.
How are we supposed to be the bad boys of electro-synth pop if you're out there being responsible? The band is about to be discovered. This is our year.
Yeah, you've been saying that for a while now.
You think anyone in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame was worried about their credit score?
I never really thought that.
Of course they weren't. Rock stars aren't supposed to think about that kind of stuff. We're supposed to think about how many guitars we've smashed, write aggressively sensitive power ballads, start questionable fashion trends, tragically break up and blame creative differences.
All right. I thought maybe it was time to take control of my finances, you know? Start using a budget, get out of debt, set some goals.
A budget? Debt? Set some goals? Listen, I knew that we'd have our creative differences, but I was hoping they'd involve a little more scandal.
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind. Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
If you're a single man under the age of 35, you'd probably like to know what the ladies are looking for on an online dating site. A guy who had a few drinks and later got pulled over for buzzed driving. See, that could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. And doesn't a guy who's back living with his parents but calls them my roommates just scream Mr. Right?
Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzzed driving is drunk driving. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
The Devil's Advocates, radio for the 99%.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. We are Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, 1510 AM WRRD. You can join us on the phones, 844-967-2789.
Be like Randy from Madison. Randy, welcome to the Devil's Advocates radio show. How you doing, man?
I'm hanging in. Listen, two quick questions. One, do you think that 2018 could bring nuclear? And two, what is the latest update on the John Doe 3?
Could 2018, could we go nuclear? I think there's like an 80% chance we will. I had heard that statement made earlier today by...
Anyhow, what about freaking Walker?
Walker? I'm hoping he's the guy sitting on the missile when we drop it.
John Doe 3.
John Doe 3, I do not believe there was a John Doe 3. I think that is a fiction of the creation of the Attorney General. The fact that he included Leah Vukmer in any conversation, A, was a betrayal of her trust. B, probably came with her consent, I would suspect, because they wanted to help prop her up. The only reason to gin up this corruption investigation and the leaking thereof one more time is because Republicans think this is some sort of electoral get out the base. But I don't think there was a John Doe 3. I think that...
But it's pretty much the same as when, what's-his-face, Judge Justice excused the whole law issue in its first place, right?
Well, I would say that A, there will be no further investigations, not under the current Attorney General of the state of Wisconsin. Appreciate the call, Randy. Have a great weekend. B, I'm not sure, but I would like to think that young Josh Kaul, he's not so young, he's, a grown man, smart attorney, Stanford grad, and a Democratic candidate for Attorney General. I would like to think that the new Attorney General of the state of Wisconsin, let's call him Josh Kaul, could in fact reopen the investigations that have been closed by the Wisconsin Supreme Court, look for underlying criminality. I think it would be within his purview to do so. I don't know if that's his time best spent, because of course I suspect there will still be a backlog of rape kits that Brad Schimmel will leave behind, because of course all he does is buy swag coins, kicking ass every day.
Well, he does more than that, Crudy. He writes terrible reports in an effort to shield his political allies instead of actually working as the Attorney General for the people of Wisconsin.
I think he might be a Peabody Award winner for Best Work of Fiction, Dom.
Thanks for the call, Randy. Appreciate it. Anybody else? This is the last segment, 844-967-2789. Let me just back up for a minute here, Crudy.
Back that ass up, man. Do what you got to do.
80% chance of nuclear war this year?
That was the statement I heard on CNN today.
By whom? Do you concur?
I heard that as well. I don't know the source, but I did hear the same thing.
That seems exceptionally high as a percentage.
I mean,
I'd like to think no.
There's only been one nuclear, two bombs, one war, that this has happened in history. And there's, I don't know, man. 80%. You actually think that? I just want to get your gut on that. I think that's way high.
I would say with this man as the president, it's a coin flip, and I'm sad. I'm not conflating. I'm just telling you, this guy is under pressure. This guy is so guilty. Talking about Trump, of course. I think that he will do something disastrous to try and save his own scalp, or perhaps Ivanka's, or Jared Kushner, or Don Jr. I mean, there's going to be more bad stuff that comes down. And as we see these stories break, I mean, the newest headline, Jennifer Rubin, why Trump and Sessions are in a heap of legal trouble. There are new stories being reported by the New York Times this week saying that Donald Trump, in fact, sent not his personal attorney, but the White House attorney, Don McCann, to encourage Jeff Sessions not to recuse himself so that Trump would have more control over the Russian investigation. If that is not obstruction of justice, and if the little munchkin, Jeff Sessions, that pot-smoking, hating son of a bitch, if he's not caught up in this thing, Dom, I don't know why not. Because effectively, above and beyond the confessional that Donald Trump made to Lester Holt in regards to firing James Comey, I mean, this seems pretty damning stuff. This seemingly is further evidence of obstruction of justice. And I don't think it's Russian collusion that's going to take the Trumpster down. Might be money laundering, but more likely, at least in the presidency, I think it's going to be obstruction. Be it Comey, be it how he treated McCann, be it how he's, trying to force different senior DOJ staffers out of the way, Rod Rosenstein and others. Why is he doing that? Because, of course, he wants to affect the investigation of himself. He wants to change the outcome. And we had...
Wait. He's not under investigation.
Come on, man.
Right? He'll tell you himself.
Well, here's the one thing I take some heart in. We had former U.S. Attorney Jim Santel on this show, and as he told us, firing Mueller does not end the investigation. Pardoning, Trump Jr.? That's not going to end it. The wheels of progress, the evidence is being compiled. We will see it fully exposed to the populace. And when Mueller's about to drop his report, that is when our nation and perhaps our world are at their most vulnerable. Because Donald Trump, he's going to be like a cornered... I'm trying to think of some ferocious orange creature. It must be a tiger. Some cornered orange tiger with a pompadour. I want to thank our fine guests today. They included Martha Lanning, Tim Slecker, Batman Matt Rothschild from the Wisconsin Democracy Campaign, and, of course, a few of you on the phones. Going to have a good weekend. Going to pick it all up again and do it on Monday, because 2018 is our year. We're going to turn it blue. We're going to kick ass and take names every freaking day, and see if you can put that on the coin, Schimmel. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Rocket Man is on a suicide mission for himself.
There's nobody that understands the horror of nuclear better than me.
But if I'm right, and we can stop this thing, you will have saved the lives of millions of registered.
Wisconsin Republican Attorney General Brad Schimmel claims he will further investigate the investigators of the John Doe 2 investigation because it was all a partisan witch hunt. Wisconsin State Rep Chris Taylor said this.
There is absolutely no concern expressed by this Attorney General or these Republican legislators about the underlying criminal